vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Welcome to what I'm calling the Tuesday show, the Knicks evening drive vibe, I believe it is. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, Dope Soul Knicks Talk. I miss you guys. So I think I might have to go at least twice a week. We shall see. We shall see. Got a lot to talk about today. The NBA season is over. The draft is Tuesday. And in my opinion, the Knicks have to begin to reshape this roster around, in my opinion, Jalen, Brunson, and Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle might get traded. I don't think so. I think he is here to stay at least for next season. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. And I think if the Knicks want to stay competitive, they need to start looking at that shooting guard, that small forward, and that center position around those two guys. Tonight, we're going to talk about the small forward position. We'll talk about the shooting guard position if we have time, and that center position. I think we haven't been talking about the center position enough, in my opinion. A lot of shows on picking between RJ Barrett and Julius Randle. But you know, if we had a different type of center, maybe those two can work, right? We just kind of penciling Mitch in as a must-have on the roster, and either of the other two have to go. Anyway, I digress. I do want to add this. A lot of the talk has been what do the Knicks need to do to catch Milwaukee, to catch Philadelphia, to catch Boston. But I think we also have to be thinking about and looking at what do the Knicks have to do to stay ahead of the teams that's behind them. Those guys are not going to stand pat. In my opinion, Atlanta and Toronto probably underachieved for the roster that they have. Both of them have new coaches. Well, Atlanta, Quinn Snyder took over, I think, middle of the season, but he'll have a training camp. This will be the first full season with them. And then you got to look at Charlotte, who made the postseason the year before this past season. LaMelo Ball will be back. Maybe they'll bring back Miles Bridges. Who knows? But if that occurs, they're going to be back in the mix. And then you also got to think about Miami, who was the 8th seed, and we now know they're not really an 8th seed. They're going to be back in the mix in terms of that top 6 as well. So it's not just how do we move ahead of the 3 in front of us and, you know, put Cleveland in that mix as well, but how do we stay ahead of those behind us? So you can actually slide back by staying still. For all of us that, you know, and I say us because we all family, we all Knicks fans, for all of us who want to stand pat and just rely on internal growth. So tonight we're going to look at the small forward position, and you know, RJ Barrett. That's just a fun way to look at it. RJ Barrett against OG Anunoby, against Paul George, against Zach LaVine, against Andrew Wiggins, who hasn't been talked about as far as the Knicks are concerned, but has been talked about in terms of the Sacramento Kings, you know, that Golden State may want to get off his contract. So I'm not surprised by anything in the NBA, even though he hasn't been talked about as far as the Knicks is concerned. Apparently, he can be moved as well. So we'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about the Julius Randle interview quickly, and we'll talk about, you know, Obi Toppin and the Knicks apparently deciding to part ways. We'll talk about that briefly. But I want to say this about RJ Barrett. I'm not saying we should replace RJ Barrett with any of these 4 guys. I'm just saying we'll go through RJ Barrett with each of these guys and whether it makes sense for contract reasons, for age, for injury, to either keep RJ Barrett or bring in one of those guys, obviously, if we were the GM. But I do want to say this about RJ Barrett. In my mind right now, when I think about the Knicks, I'm thinking about championship. That's my thought process. And I'm always impressed by guys who play their best or can step up when the lights are the brightest. And RJ Barrett did that for us. For as a mess of a regular season that he had, in my opinion, not just the counting stats, but just looking at his floor game in the regular season, to me, he was just a mess. He got it together in the playoffs. And that does say something about him, about his mental makeup, about his resolve, about just his toughness. All of that being said, though, skill set is important in terms of what the Knicks need going forward. So in my opinion, this is not RJ bashing. This is not about moving off of RJ. This is about having legitimate discussions about who's the best players to put around Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, at least for next season. Anyway, let me bring in the panel tonight. Oh, you guys were here all the time? Oh, okay.
All time.
That's okay. That's all right. Jeff Clafter, appreciate you. Jay Boogie, Ajay, how's everyone?
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Right. And shout out to the chat as well. Let's just go quickly through two things. Let's go through the OB and the Knicks apparently deciding to part ways briefly. I know Ajay behind the scenes said that could be a whole show. That could be actually 2 shows, but we're going to do it briefly tonight. And then just quick thoughts on the Randle interview before we dive into the topic. So any thoughts on Obi Toppin? There was an article, I believe it was in Newsday, that the Knicks and Obi have decided to part ways. It's not news to me. I thought it was something that would have happened at the trade deadline last season. He's up for a contract extension. I don't think they're going to extend him. I don't think they're going to allow him to go to restricted free agency. So if they don't trade him now, I would think before the trade deadline they would do it. So it's not big news for me. There's thoughts that the Knicks could probably get end of the first round pick for Obi Toppin. I mean, I would say that would be great, but I just feel like the Knicks just don't. I don't know if the Knicks need another first round pick. But if trades are going to be made, you're going to need to probably restock with young players. So maybe. Anyway, any thoughts on the news that the Knicks and Obi Toppin have decided to part ways?
I'll go first, right? So
Yes,
it's not
coming in
not,
hot.
It's not the news value of it that's great. It's the fact that this is a New York Knicks lottery pick. We drafted him at the eight spot, right? We're complacent enough, and this is Queen. You, the fan base, they'd be happy if we get a 27th pick for an eighth pick. That is a disaster. I mean, this is we drafted this guy in front of a lot of guys. Halliburton, Maxey, Desmond Bain. We picked this guy ahead of those guys, and now we're too happy to give him away for 27, 28, second round pick. That is a disastrous move from the front office. I don't know any other way to look at it. It's not the news value of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the action of getting a guy at 8th spot. And why I say this could be a couple of shows. We could go back and forth about, did he really have a chance to show that he was worth the eighth spot, right? The 8th pick. Maybe he didn't. And then we turn around and flip him for the 27, 28 or second round pick. And Queen, you just said that would be great. No, that would be a disaster. That's the way I'm looking at it. That's my problem with it. So you get a top 10 pick and then you flip him for a second round pick because you didn't give him a chance to play. That's not great. That's horrible management.
But you're saying they're flipping him for a 27th because he didn't get an opportunity.
I didn't say no. I said maybe. We'll discuss that back and forth.
Yeah, right.
But in the end, but we don't know. And there's a copy. This is the we have to be cautious. We don't know because we don't know what's gonna happen, what the trade's gonna happen. But we're speculating, right? You just said it would be great if we get a 27, like a late first round pick for him. I've heard, on other shows, and I've read, a lot of comments. Oh, maybe if we can get a second round pick or 2 second round picks for our 8th pick.
But RJ, talent can lose value over time. It can gain value over time and it can lose value over time. So him being the 8th pick, in my opinion, is just old news. That was 2-3 years ago. And I don't think it's on the Knicks that Obi Toppin has lost value. I don't think that's on the Knicks. He's playing behind an all-star. He's playing behind a 2-time All-NBA player. What's the time? That's what I don't understand about Knicks fans. What's your expectation? That Randle doesn't play, that he splits time because because Obi was the 8th pick? Like, I don't get it. You can lose value over time. And this is what I will say. Maybe he hasn't lost value. Maybe, listen, GMs are smart. So are they thinking, this guy is really good? Because you can see when this guy is really good, he just hasn't had the opportunity. That'll help you hold value. The fact that all you can get is everybody can't be wrong if they're not willing to give up more than a late first round pick for Obi Toppin. Those GMs look at advanced stats. Those guys look at how he play. They don't think he's worth a top 10 pick 2 or 3 years in. Now, all of that being said, there's always players that beat the odds. There's always players that surprise you. And I'm not locking Obi Toppin in. I'm just saying players do lose value over time. So I can't be like, oh, well, he's the 8th pick 19 years ago. We should be able to get a top 10 pick now. No.
No. So when these guys go to the negotiating table, right? They don't come in, oh, he's the 8th pick. I'll give you 8th pick for it. They'll come in and tell you, listen, they'll give you the guy, the end of the bench guy. That's what they come in for, right? They'll give you the 60th pick for Obi Toppins. Okay, you have to work your way. When you negotiate, when you buying something, you lowball as low as possible, like dirt lowball. Okay, and then you work your way up, and you meet each other halfway or 2/3 of the way, whatever.
What's halfway to you?
Obi Toppins to me is worth more than a 27th pick.
Okay. So like the 15th pick?
Definitely. He should definitely at least be exchanged for somewhere between 12, 13, 14, 15, that range.
Wow. Okay.
Or at least a future, a couple of future first round, or a couple of future second rounds or whatever. Okay. Listen, we've heard the reports that Indiana's been calling about OB. There's a couple of teams who've been calling about him. They're not offering second round picks for him. Okay. And like you said, these guys are smart. These guys, they too can see that Obi Toppin haven't flourished because he hadn't had a chance. They're that smart also.
Well, let me ask the panel.
But they'll come in and tell, yeah, listen, we'll give you, 5 years from now, 2 second round picks for him to see if you bite. Okay.
Right.
That's how they're going to come in.
Let me ask the rest of the panel in the chat, but I'm going to answer it first. Do you believe Obi's value is depressed because he didn't get the opportunity? And I'm going to say no. There have been many players throughout the history of the NBA who started getting 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes behind somebody. But they showed enough where the front office actually moved the guy ahead of them to give them that opportunity. That's number one. Number two, it's okay if you choose the guy in front and move the guy in back to another team. It's okay. That happens all the time too. There's not enough room. And so you move the guy, you choose the guy that's here, and you move the other guy to another team to give them an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, Jeff, Boogie, your thoughts on anything we've talked about so far.
Go ahead, Bug.
So much comparison was between Obi and Sean Marion, and Marion used to come off that bench, and before he was a starter, he was on that bench. But what got him into that starting lineup because he developed skill sets, that can allow himself to play at the 3 while Marion was at the 4. To me, Obi has not done anything to try to, okay, the 4 is sold up. And Queen already said 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, most improved. That's sold up. You can forget about that. That's sold all the way up. Long as Julius here, you can forget about playing that spot, playing that role. But what has he done to do anything to try and downgrade his game to develop any other skills when that 3 spot is still available and open? It's not secured. He did nothing. He developed no type of skills, no nothing. And what, Obi, 6'8"? That's the normal 6'8" small forward size. Anywhere from 6'5" to 6'9". Those are small forwards. So he developed none of his skill sets, to play the small 3. Instead, he allowed himself to, to allow that. He used that as an excuse for his game not to develop as if Julius was in his way. You know what I mean? So, like right now, I think the best time to move Obi is right now. Don't wait till the trade deadline because, throughout his, career here, he has had up and down moments where his stock rise, stock down, stock rise, stock down. So right now his stock is at 50-50. So the best thing to do is right here during this draft is to move him. And if Obi come out and he said, I'll be willing to part ways. I'm good with that. Then accommodate that man and move him on, and do something else. Are we going to get the supposed to be value for Obi? No, because we'll never know because Julius been here. So being that we don't have, the supposed to be value of him, you have to move him along, and bring something else to do something else and bring somebody else that's going to be all right to come behind Julius and play those few minutes, at the power spot, For me, preferably, I like a versatile guy that can play the 3 and the 4, But Obi has not been willing to do that. He showed no other perimeter skills. He's a New York guy. I don't know New York guys that don't have handles, can't put it off the floor and boogie. I don't know and understand that. So he shows no perimeter skills besides a catch and shoot. Only thing you can see him highlight of is if he's if he's taking off and he's getting a lob, he's beating everybody down the court for a dunk. But most people, playing the perimeter, they can take you up the dribble, shoot the mid-range, shoot the trade, get to the basket, all those type scenario. And you don't see Obi before struggle with little guys moving him with his body weight. So this right here can help Obi, get himself together. But I'm like this, if you complain and you need somebody else to make your game better, then you really don't have a game. I believe all players make their own game better. So I just wish the best scenario can happen this week, with the New York Knicks. As far as with the Obi situation, if you're going to trade him, go ahead and move him. Don't wait to go on into the season and do this all over again between him and Julius, him pouting and him and all of his feelings, because he ain't getting no burn and all that. Move him now, dead the situation, and let's move forward. I'm New York, baby. I'm New York. I don't care about nobody name on the back. New York. If he want to get him out of here, Leon. Get him up out of here. Indiana called what they got the 23rd pick or something like that. Whatever pick they got, they want him. Get him up out of here. Do something and tell him to send that point guard with him. What's his name? The little point guard they got that come off the bench. What's his name?
McConnell. I love him.
Yeah, send him along with that first round pick. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to get even swap for Obi. Being that late, but you can put something else, another piece that we can use that we can need, which is a backup point.
Wait. Before we go to Jeff, listen, I don't have a problem with moving Obi. I don't have a problem with moving him now. And I agree. I'm happy for him that they're moving him. What I'm saying is I find we're very complacent as a fan base that we're happy if we get in the 27th pick for him. What I'm saying is I think he's worth more than that. Listen, they should have moved him last week or 2 years ago even. If they weren't going to use him. The first year that Julius Randle had the all NBA season, the front office should have moved him then. I'm 100% happy that they're moving Obi. it's best for him. I don't know. Depending on what they get for it, might be best for the Knicks as well. What I'm saying is, how are we happy that we getting a late first round or second round pick for him for an 8th pick? That's the part I don't get.
In development. All right, IJ.
But
Like, oh my God, he was the 8th pick. We shouldn't be.
No, but Queen, he wasn't a bum 8th pick. He wasn't Kevin Knox. You know what I'm saying? He can play. He has, and I understand that he didn't have the chance to play, but
he has had the chance to play. That's where we disagree. You're saying he hasn't had the chance to play. This is why, and I'm saying he's had the chance to play. You can see a person's skill set in 17 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game. You can see a person's skill set. I'm not looking at his stats. I'm not looking at Obi Toppin and like, oh, he's not averaging. It's not about the averages. Skill set. I don't care how many minutes you play. McBride plays less than 10 minutes. You can still see his skill set in those 10 minutes. Skill set. That's what we're talking about. Skill set. And I just don't think it matches. It matches the Knicks. And yes, he can go somewhere and average 22 and 9 points, but we're talking about championship contending teams because that's what the Knicks are on their way to being. So yeah, anybody can score 22 and 9 on Orlando or on Detroit. We are a perennial playoff team now. It's totally different in terms of how we have to view our future. So in terms of skill set, I wish him the best. He's going to have to rebound better. He's going to have to learn how to put the ball on the floor. We're talking skill set.
And Adji, real quick, a lot of people are saying, like me today, thank God for Jalen Brunson. We got a point guard, but you best believe it's a lot of people going to say, if he goes on, we shouldn't have had him anyway. You shouldn't even had him on this team with Halliburton out there. We should have had a point guard. So it's going to work in a lot of ways. We all going to have something to say, about the situation. That's what makes a good and great conversation. We all, we know the game, but, we can't keep bringing him along and the situation is not getting no better. The best thing to do is treat him like furniture and move him.
Salute, Ron.
Jeff. Salute, Ron. How are you?
Salute,
Hey,
Mr. Ron.
Happy Father's Day weekend to you too.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, man. We'll talk in a bit. Jeff?
Well, I think a couple things here. First of all, I think with player evaluation, right or wrong, what the Knicks thinking at the time they made the Toppin pick was, we're going to take who we think is the best player available, and we're going to figure out all that other stuff later. Well, 3 years later, and we're still trying to figure stuff out, I guess. But couple things about Obi. Queen asks great questions, and she makes me do some homework because I don't want to come on here and look unprepared. But so I was looking at the games where Obi Toppin started. And in games where Obi Toppin starts, he shoots like 40% from the three-point line. And he averages like 17 points and 6 rebounds a game. Now, that's not Julius Randle's stats, but would you say that it's a little light on the rebounding, but would you say that 17 and 6 could be a starting power forward for another team in the league?
I believe he can start for another team. I'm not saying he can't start.
So
it's just what his role is going to be on a perennial playoff team. Yes, I believe he can start on another team.
And so there's that part of it, but then there's also, I just finished writing a 3-part series about, I called it the value of a nickel, and just to see, it's just a thought exercise of what are our players' values to the rest of the league. And guess what? A player is only worth what you can get for him. I can say that I think Obi Toppin is worth the 15th pick in the draft. But if there's none of the other 29 teams willing to give you a 15th pick in the draft for him, guess what? He's not worth that. And so there's an old proverb that says the buyer will say trash, and then once the transaction is complete, he'll brag about what a great bargain he got. And so I think there's certainly some gamesmanship there. There's that part of it too, but and for that reason, I kind of want the Obi Toppin trade to be an aggregation. In other words, pair Obi with someone. I don't know, like RJ Barrett, for instance, and then I think you can get more bang for your buck. And the reason I say that is this. Of all the players that we're going to talk about tonight, if you tried to trade RJ Barrett for them straight up, player for player, they're going to hang up the phone on you. That's not going to happen. So any deal that you're going to make is RJ right? And so a big part of what we have to decide when we're factoring in these trades is what is the and that goes with it? Is it RJ and Obi? Is it RJ and Obi and picks? Is it RJ and quickly? Is it RJ and what have you, so on and so forth? So I think that, I think if you're just talking about, well, we just want to get the 29th pick from Indiana, I don't think you get as much value for him if you say, I'm going to combine him with another player and another pick and get us something that I know is going to help us right away. Because I don't think any late round draft choice, no matter how, look, we got quickly late round, we got a lot of good players late round. Chances are they're not going to be helping us on our crusade to win a championship in year one. I think that's a pretty fair statement. So to me, I have no problem with trading Obi. I think this was a water is wet report by Newsday. I think everybody knew that this was kind of the ultimate end game here. And I also think that when push comes to shove, if we're going to do something, it shouldn't just be a 1-for-1 or a 1 for picks or something like that. It's got to be part of something that's going to help us to improve significantly moving forward. And not that Obi on his own is that, but Obi is, if we're going to have to do an RJ and, so there are teams out there that may say, hey, Obi may be a worthwhile and to add to that pot. And if that's a player we were going to be getting rid of anyway, then to me, that's adding more value. And I think another thing that we have to remember about this front office, Leon Rose is frugal, cheap, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't want to sell 10 cents on the dollar for assets, especially assets that he brought in. So I would kind of be surprised if the deal is Obi Toppin for the 27th pick. If that is the deal, then I think that gives you a really good message about how Obi Toppin is viewed around the league.
Before Run goes in, man, people, come on, y'all gotta hit the like button. Come on, the show started like real hot right now, and nobody's hitting we're not hitting the like button. So hot. Ron Still Knicks fan felt like he had to come on.
Hey, well, first off, shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to the panel, Ajay, J Boogie, Jeff. Hopefully you got that, J Boogie. I know better late than never. My bad, bro.
I got it.
All right. My fault. You use the second one. It's more updated. Anyway, okay. Steph, appreciate you as always. Thank you for having me. So, what Jeff said, the Obi situation is a no-brainer. We all kind of seen this coming for different reasons. Some people just don't like Obi. Some people think Obi needs to go somewhere else where he has a better chance to play. And then there's others who just don't necessarily think Obi's ever going to be able to, grow behind Julius Randle. And there's a fourth. The Knicks are starting to pay money to all these young guys. And being that Obi's not playing minutes and not producing at a high level at this moment, I don't want to have to pay Obi. I got to worry about paying possibly quickly and then a year after that, got to think about Grimes. If they're going to be here, there's other guys that might need to get paid. I'm sorry to say, before Obi, because of Julius being here. So yeah, this is not a shocker at all. What I think is interesting that I'm starting to get more information about. I mean, I still don't know the whole story, but I was on Phil's show tonight from the Morning Brew, and he dropped a little nugget. He wouldn't elaborate and get too deep into it, but he did say that something might have happened between Obi and Coach Tibbs that got really emotional, and it looks like if you think the situation with Cam Reddish was difficult, and there was once you saw Cam get benched, just look at it. I would think it's probably similar terms with Tibbs and Obi. Although Obi's been much more professional and has gone out there and done what he needed to do, and the Knicks needed him, so Tibbs had to play him. I think that it's on the same lines of that. That relationship is kind of fractured. So I think Obi is just going to be out of here. So for those who are not happy with that news, there's a lot going on. Obi's frustrated. Tibbs is feeling his own way about things, and it's life. It is what it is. It's basketball.
Yeah. Let's see what the chat is saying before I knew this was going to stretch this, because this small forward show is long as it is. Steph, is Obi at 12-4 a better business decision? This is not business. This is not Wall Street. This is basketball. This is about trying to win a chip. So no, I mean, if you're talking about he makes less money than Julius Randle, if that's all you're concerned about, the money, yeah, Obi Toppin is going to be cheaper than Julius Randle. But in my opinion, and I do think Obi Toppin has flash skill. He has flash putting the ball on the floor. He's done some things. So I'm not going to say his game is locked, but I do think you need to see it over a bigger sample size. Even if we traded Julius Randle, I wouldn't want to start Obi Toppin in his stead. I would still go out and find another power forward, unless that the rest of those four players in that starting lineup is rocking, and Obi Toppin can just hit the three, spread the floor, get you some easy fast break baskets. Then yeah, I think in that respect, it would work. Everybody's talking about what has Grimes done. Not arguing there, even though I think Grimes' skill set, I could see where Grimes could fit a little more. D Nice again, the only untouchable on the team is Brunson. All right. Sorry, guys. I should have been, as I was reading it, I should have been starring some, but I didn't. But we got it. We have to move on. And just briefly, if anybody has just shout out to Sis. Obi was the old guy coming out at 8. His ceiling may not be that high to the Knicks. Yeah. I mean, he has more work to do. By the time he gets to where he needs to be, he might be, a little older than he is, right now. Just any thoughts, if anybody was able to hear the Julius Randle interview with Paul George? If you were able to, any comments on it? And if you weren't, it's totally fine. If you didn't listen to it, it's fine.
I listened to the whole thing. I got a lot of information up out of it about what Julius has got going on. And first of all, I was happy to see the dude being able to have a good time, be able to laugh and have, a conversation with somebody that's rocking with him. He rocks with Paul George. And for them to call him out and for Paul George to speak of his game, that lets you know that Julius is respected around the league, no matter what his situation is on his on-court actions and stuff like that. Guys know that guy has game. I got another most important thing I learned really about this Julius. He admitted, he's not a film type guy. He doesn't watch the film and footage and stuff like that. But he says now during this injury time, this right here allows him to do things that he's never done before. You know what I'm saying? He loves to get right to it. And he paid homage to Paul George about how when the season is over, it's not over for him. He normally get right back to work and working on his game. And he paid homage to Paul George about that because PG was the one that let him know that, when my season is over, I get back to working out because I don't want to get out of shape. And he said that's what he's been doing. So right now he's not able to work out or get in shape. But far as sitting down and being able to watch film and get a better understanding of the basketball, you know what I'm saying? I think that might play a little bit part to his favor. You know what I'm saying? It might raise his IQ level up, being able to see things, you know what I'm saying, and from a different perspective, looking at yourself from the outside, you know what I'm saying, and judging yourself on how you did this or how you should have did that, you know what I'm saying, how you acted, how you reacted, you know what I'm saying, looking at all your non-efforts and everything. If you know what I'm saying, you really want to better yourself, those things are going to allow you to, you know what I'm saying, pretty much have it's going to allow you to be able to check yourself and make you realize, yo, dang, I was letting the team down here, there, you know what I'm saying? But I got a lot of good out of it, you know what I'm saying? I love the Kobe situation, the Kobe stories, you know what I'm saying? I love everything about what he was talking about, listening to other people, they want to twist certain things and everything. But I was happy, to hear that the guy was really having a good time. And more importantly, sometimes you don't need to work out and play basketball because Julius has a lot of skill sets. Julius needs to have an understanding of what it is on that ball court. And if he can get a better understanding on the basketball court, that'll make him better as a teammate, a better as a person, and a better as a player. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm passing on, let somebody talk, but I watched the whole thing and I got a lot out of it. A lot of Kentucky stories. You know what I'm saying, being out of bounds. You know what I'm saying, snowed in. He don't know how to. You know what I'm saying, drive in the snow. He never had Timbs. You know what I'm saying, until he went to Kentucky. A lot of things that that show how Julius is he's going to give you his all. But time when he talked about he had a broken foot and didn't even know he had a broken foot, but he still played, regardless. And then he realized, what I'm saying, that they told him he had a broken foot and he didn't even know it. So that lets you know if Julius is hurt, and he's going to shut down. And that's just about for anybody. But that dude was playing ball with a broken foot, you know what I'm saying, at one time, and he didn't even know it was broken. But I got a lot from the situation. Maybe you could talk to PG, behind the scene. Maybe PG, throw a dart, maybe PG can get over here, whatever, you know what I'm saying, network or something, man. I don't know. I'm just jibber jabbing, but I was happy to see Julius, able to sit down and have a conversation. He had his big foot wrapped up, the whole thing, man. But it's good for him to get away and just laugh and have fun. Everybody needs that in life. You can't be all upset and tight. You know what I'm saying? There's a point in time when Julius even mentioned, it's hard for me to go places and do anything because New York is New York. New York be on him. But he did speak about how now, before, he comes outside and he gets more love in being in the street than, he will be inside that building. But that being inside that building and being on the streets are two different kinds of New York, fan bases, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but I was okay with the interview, and I hope he get much more interviews.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I can go. So I listened to, I want to say probably about 35, 40, maybe 45 minutes of it. So not even half of it, right? But I'll tell you two things that from what I heard that were really amazing to me that I don't know if people talk about it. I haven't heard anybody actually mention that. The first thing is about the media. He actually says he loves it here. He loves the pressure. He loves the media. He says when he was obviously he played in LA, which is also another probably the second largest media market after New York. He said, but he wasn't the top guy, so they didn't really bother him. But when he came here, like they flocked to him, and it was almost like not in so many words, but almost like a culture shock. And he didn't know, at first he didn't know how to deal with it, but then he actually grew to love it. So he doesn't hate talking to the media as much as we think. But the most important thing so far that I've heard him say, Julius Randle actually told us in that interview that he knows he's not a #1 guy. He said he plays much better when he has a better guy than him on the team. He's great. So he's telling us, and we say this all the time. We speculate that he doesn't think he's the guy. He think he's too good for the team. But he says in the interview he's much better he says when he plays with AD, he was great because AD was the center of attention. So he admits in that interview he understands he's not the #1 guy. To me, that was very important. So
Yeah,
that gives you a good insight of what he thinks of himself. Like he's not, he's really confident. He knows what he's doing, but he feels like he's better when there's a better player than him on the team.
right. And then maybe he won't be. I know a lot of fans of a lot of the fan base was concerned how he would handle being pushed down in a pecking order if we brought in players better than him. I thought he wanted that. I thought he wanted the relief. I thought that he knew it was too much for him to be the #1 guy. That's why he didn't make that big a deal with Brunson being here. Now moving down one more time.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
I think he could. Go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
but he actually said it. When he said the minute they signed up Jalen Brunson, they immediately got in touch with each other, started talking. He said he loved the fact that he has another guy coming in, and when if Jalen Brunson becomes, right now we don't know. We're as fan base, we're saying Jalen Brunson's the best guy on the team. If the rest of the NBA sees it that way, I think Julius Randle is gonna love it, and he's gonna produce. He's gonna be off the charts if he understands and if he accepts Jalen Brunson. Not accept, he's already gonna accept them. But if he sees that the rest of the NBA see Jalen Brunson as our #1 guy on the team, he's the second one guy, so he's probably gonna play much better. At least that's what he said.
Okay, that's working. That's not
working. I saw it and I've talked about it being a really good interview. I was happy to see how Julius opened up, but I thought he would open up to one of his peers. Now, what I didn't know is that him and Paul George had such a good relationship. That was surprising to me, but you never know too much about these athletes and who they're cool with, whatever. And I think it really humanized Julius. I think if you don't like Julius Randle, it should be for how he plays on the court. And for certain things he's done in the past, if he's shown you a change in that type of behavior, you should acknowledge it and move on from it. But I think he's a really good dude. He just has some trouble, controlling his anger in situations when things become too much or overwhelming. But I think he's done a much better job at that this year. And I think he's been a much better teammate. As you said, Ajay, I've already mentioned the not looking at film was quite disturbing. I was kind of shocked at that. But I said it earlier tonight. We're finding out as time goes by, we're finding out more and more random, wild things about some of these athletes that don't get taught defense, that don't practice, that don't all this wild stuff that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how you can be a professional or in any organized ball and tell me you've never practiced before. So I don't know what that's about, but there's some wild stuff that you hear. Now I'm not saying Julius said that. That was Jamal Crawford who said he never practiced, but I just think that it's a situation where there's so many different things that happen and that are coming out of these situations where Julius, that it just puts a bad light on him. Some of it deserved, some of it not. In the interview itself, as Jay Boogie mentioned, the fact that he's a warrior, he plays through pain, part of the reason why you expect to see him out there night in and night out. I think that's dope. I think that story about him having that hurt ankle and playing most of the season. That's crazy. That's the wildest thing ever. You know, it was so many different things that came from it. And I think that, you know, I think another thing that turns a lot of Knicks fans, not a lot, but a good portion of Knicks fans off, is when he basically was telling you, admitting to you that he plays better when other stars are on the team. I think as fans, some fans, you know, because we haven't had a leader up until maybe Jalen Brunson being here now, they looked at Julius as the de facto leader, and then hearing something like that from him really bothered them. Just like when he said in the playoffs with Miami, maybe they wanted it more than us. I've heard players say that multiple times, but I think it's because it's coming from Julius, and the type of effort that he put out there at the time he was saying it didn't make it look good. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, the guy was an all NBA player. He was an all-star. He helped us get to this point. You take Julius Randle off this team, I don't know if we make the playoffs. I don't know if we're in the 5th seed. Like, I get it. We want more, and who knows if he's the answer. I don't know if he's the answer. But I do know one thing. If Julius is going to stay on this team, the roster has to change. We have to build around him the right pieces so that the stuff that he doesn't do well or the stuff that he's lacking, we make up for it somewhere else. And I think the Knicks did a bad job of that in seasons past. This year they're trying to slowly correct it. Adding Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart makes a difference, but that doesn't mean that they're done. There's some other stuff that we need to clean up. And I think in due time, as we continue to make this push, you know, the Knicks are starting to get a little hungry. And the front office is starting to see, hey, maybe this team has a little something we can build off of. So I'd expect them to make more changes. We'll see.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know you wasn't here, Steph. I mean, I was just talking. I mean, you know.
I knew this panel would be able to hold it down. I appreciate you guys. Can we move on to the show now? Anybody have anything else they want to say?
It's on Jeff if he got something he want to say. If not, then yeah.
Let's go.
Let's start the show.
Let's go. All right. So I want to talk about potential trade targets at the small forward position. Now, I'm not saying that's the discussion we're going to have today, whether or not we're going to compare RJ Barrett to any of these guys, and you guys can give your opinion about, what you think about it. I'm not saying that we absolutely have to move off of RJ Barrett. All I'm saying is if Brunson and Randle are a lock, and it seemed like Mitch might be a lock, who's the best fit? I think center is on the table as well, even though we don't like to talk about it that much. But if we're keeping Julius Randle and we're keeping, Jalen Brunson as our two main guys for now, who's the best small forward to put around them? So these are the questions I want to ask, and we'll get to each of them in turn. I want to ask your overall thoughts about each player. Again, we're going to get to them one at a time. Are the Knicks a better team with any one of these guys versus RJ? Why or why not? Are the Knicks Eastern Conference finalists? Forget championship contenders. Are we Eastern Conference finalists if we make a move at that small forward position? And what do they bring to the table that RJ Barrett doesn't? And we'll talk about fit as well. So let's start with, we got OG Anunoby from Toronto. Who knows? They have a new coach now. I like their roster actually. They may decide that they're going to keep it intact, but there's been rumblings that they may move off some guys, including OG Anunoby. I have their contract figures as well. Andrew Wiggins, I have not heard about him in connection with the New York Knicks, but I've heard about him in connection with the Sacramento Kings. So Golden State may be looking to get off of some salary. Obviously, the Jack LaVine, the Knicks connection has been going on for a few years now. I'm not sure if the Clippers are thinking of moving Paul George, but I know if not this year, next year, they're going to have some tough choices to make as far as the new CBA is concerned. So let's just talk about the first guy, RJ Barrett versus OG Anunoby out of Toronto. We got RJ Barrett's season stats. I'm not going to read all of them, but this season, 19.6 points, 5 rebounds, 2.8 assists. He shot 43.4% from the field, 31% from the three-point line, 74% from the free throw line. And his net rating was a negative 1.2. OG and RJ Barrett played in 73 games. Is that right? RJ Barrett missed. I'm used to him being an Iron Man as well, so he may have missed some.
Yeah, he was out
finger.
for a
Remember the
spell.
finger?
With the
Oh,
finger.
yes. Okay. OG in 67 games, he averaged 16.8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 47.6% from the field, 38.7% from the three-point line, 83.8% from the free throw line, net rating of +3. And I put the usage in because I think, just to see if a guy's role changes if they switch teams. RJ had a usage this past season of 26.2. So even with Brunson here, his usage didn't really go down significantly. OG Anunoby usage was 19.5, though they do have, I'm not going to say, all of those guys seem to be like equal, like between Siakam and Bonds and Anunoby and Van Vliet and Gary Trent Jr. is like on any given night, any one of those. I'm not sure what the clear pecking order is over in Toronto, if it's as clear as it is on the New York Knicks. But your overall impressions on OG, and then we'll get into the other questions about, and we'll go Ron, Ajay, J Boogie, Jeff, and we'll switch it up as we go along.
I like OG. My only concern ever with OG Anunoby was his health. But 67 games is not horrible. If that's like in the worst area, I can deal with that, if he can stay somewhat healthy, and be there playoff time when it matters. But yeah, I mean, I think OG is impressive to me. He's a lot more impressive than I thought, because sometimes when I take a look at him, I have this whole thing about OG Anunoby when there's nobody there. Like if Siakam's hurt, if Van Vliet's hurt, and OG's there with whoever, Barnes, and OG gets busy. But when everybody's healthy, OG gets real quiet. He stays in the corner waiting for the ball for an open three or something, and just the rest of his offensive game is like mute. So I don't really love that, because the Knicks are trying to build, a contender, and you need guys. And at this point, you need as many two-way players as you can get, in my opinion. His defense is great. That'll definitely be a benefit to the Knicks and help them right away. But you would also love OG to be able to knock down an open shot, or to create and get his own good looks to help the team when the offense gets stagnant. But I definitely like him, and I think with usage, I mean, those numbers can be even better and very efficient in comparison to RJ Barrett. He's definitely an upgrade. That's not even a question. But I like him. It's just all about, is he a better health option than what you might get from another player, or even RJ to compare to him. But 67 to 73 games, when you look at it, it's not that big of a difference. So I like OG.
Okay, Ajay.
Well, OG, I don't like OG. You know that, Queen. I don't care for OG Anunoby. However, he would be an upgrade over RJ Barrett. If it's a 1-to-1 swap, yeah, I would go OG, but that wouldn't happen. Masai Ujiri, but that's probably one of the reasons why I don't care for OG Anunoby, is because at the trade deadline they were talking about 4 first rounders and RJ and IQ. I'm like, for OG?
Is the issue for you because we're not really talking price right now, but is that the issue for you, price?
No, I said that's probably why I don't like him, like, overall, because of all that talk. But player for player, he is a better player. I mean, obviously, the glaring difference is the efficiency. OG Anunoby has a lower usage rate, and he produced a lot more with his many fewer touches than RJ Barrett. Obviously, his 43% field goal to 47% for OG. The 3-point, he's almost 40% from 3-point line. RJ Barrett, he's much more efficient than RJ Barrett. So would I, if I could get OG instead of RJ Barrett, yes, I would do it, because he's a better player. He would get the Knicks a lot further than RJ Barrett can.
And he defends his position. I hear what you're saying about his shot creation. It's gotten better over time. I don't think it's definitely not at an elite level, but we know right now, you know what? I haven't checked. One of the things, the 3-point percentage I would be interested in is how much of that is off the catch and how much of that is off the dribble, because we definitely need guys off the catch with Brunson and Randle collapsing the defense. The other thing I want to keep in mind, just keep this in the back of your head with some of these guys who are, has OG reached his ceiling? Is there more out of OG? Is there more out of Levine when we get to him? Can those guys take yet another step in their NBA career, or at this point, are they who they are? So we'll, keep that in mind also when you guys are answering the question.
Queen, and I want to add one other thing. You said we need catch and shoot shooters because of Jalen, Brunson, and Julius Randle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget Josh Hart. A lot of 80% of the time he grabbed those rebounds, he looks to pass it to whoever's at the top of the key, whoever's in position to shoot the three. Because remember, he's smaller than the guys he's grabbing the rebounds over, so he's not going to try to go back up with the ball.
Right.
He's dishing it.
That's a good point.
To the 3-point line. So, but yeah, go ahead.
That's a good point. Boogie?
Me personally, I'm not going to take OG over RJ right now, coming off of what he just did in the playoffs. Telling me that, he got some room that's coming. And like somebody just mentioned, I don't know if OG's at his peak. I don't know if he could get any better. You know what I'm saying? I know RJ has room to get better, and he showed us a lot of glimpses inside the playoffs. If I'm moving RJ, I'm moving him for somebody that's going to be, that's really going to take us somewhere. And OG doesn't take our team all over the hump. If I'm going to get rid of my young baby, I can't just do that. Somebody's going to have to be able to come here that's going to be dominant on that floor. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to be able to have to come in here and is going to. RJ will average 19? Is that his average? I need somebody
on a lot of shots, though. On a lot of shots.
Yeah, okay. But I'm going to need somebody that's going to come in here that's going to give me buckets too. I gotta have that. I mean, I gotta have that before I'm moving my young guy. After what he did, he had what you talking about from the last three games in the Cleveland series and the first 5 games of the Miami series. There was 8 games that RJ gave us, gave us a chance to be like, okay, RJ might have something, OG's he's a good fit-in player. I can't say that. He plays his role and he knows his role. That's one good thing about him. Second, his best thing is his defense, is his defensive game. And night in, night out, he's going to come in, and no matter whatever's not working, he's going to continue to play defense like that. Sometimes RJ bread and butter, is driving, get to the rack and all that. It's not working. And that's his bread and butter. And sometimes when his bread and butter is not working, then other parts of his game does not stand out. But I believe that, this playoff run that RJ had, I think RJ can come and give me what OG would come and give us this season. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going to get rid of him, I got to get something better than what OG is.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think what you saw from RJ Barrett in the playoffs is something that you're pretty confident you're going to get come next season? Because I guess the question I'm asking is, was that the evolution of RJ Barrett's game? Or because it seemed to me like the light just went off, was it the evolution of his game? Or is there something mental going on where he can turn it on and look like he did in the play? I'm talking about his floor game. I'm not talking about the 3-point shooting and finishing at the rim, because nothing changed for RJ Barrett as far as where he took his shots and things like that. What changed the most was his floor game. Do you see that as something that's been unlocked in the playoffs and we can expect that from RJ going forward? Or do you think that's something he's always had in his game and sometimes we see it and sometimes we don't? What's your thoughts on that?
Sometimes when, back then you used to listen to CDs and you get your favorite song, you used to put it on repeat. That's what RJ should be doing right now at the crib, putting these playoffs on repeat. Somebody need to be in his head and constantly reminding him, you see what you was doing right here? This is you. This is your game. You got that in you. You got to remember this, what you did, and carry this with you. Don't leave what you did in these playoffs behind. Carry this with you, you know what I'm saying? And if that gets installed into his head and he realizes that, you're right, I do got it, you know what I'm saying? Let me continue on pressing on, then RJ can give us a whole lot more, you know what I'm saying, as far as, with years to come. He's fresh on the beginning of this contract. He can give us something, you know what I'm saying, that make us feel like, almost make us feel like with Jalen Brunson, we underpaid him. We stole that contract. RJ has a chance to make us feel like, yo, this contract, Leon stole that contract if he really, wants it. But RJ has to want it more than anybody else, you know what I'm saying? And I think he got enough glimpses from that these 8 playoff games to show that I got it, So what you do in the regular season is regular season. But even though it stands out, you know what I'm saying, stat-wise to talk around, but when you get in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying, and you could turn your game up further than what, you know what I'm saying, he had 8 games that was almost better than almost his whole season. So if that's the RJ I can get, I'm keeping RJ over OG.
I will say this, though, and somebody brought this up, I didn't even realize RJ Barrett was still a net negative plus minus in the playoffs. But to your point, as far as so for me, it was just the mentality that he had to step it up in those games. But in terms of offense and defense, that he was still a net negative. Anybody else want to comment on
and can't forget about he made better and wiser decisions and choices.
What I mean by his floor game, absolutely. Yeah, he did. Jeff, Jeff.
Yeah. So of the Knicks 9-man rotation, there was only one player who was a net negative for the season. Any guesses as who that player might be? RJ Barrett. In his time on the floor, he was a minus 62. You know who the next closest person is? Obadiah Toppin at plus 56. That is a staggering differential and a staggering negative effect. And I think the eye test tends to bear that out. So OG Anunoby, I was never really high on him just because he has had injuries in the past. But I'll tell you what, he was plus 132 for a team that was not very good this year. And I know it doesn't work like this, but if you can plug in another positive player, and let's say Obi goes by the wayside in a trade, every other Knick on the roster, OG would be the lowest plus of the remaining guys. Tell me that doesn't get us to the next level? I think it does. He provides the defense on the wing position. He's a tall wing. I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's just 25 years old. So he may not even be at his ceiling yet. And I actually like the fact that we can play him as a second or third option. And you know what? Maybe it will be good for him that he can just sit out there and catch the ball and shoot it. You know, and if Grimes continues to shoot at 38% and we have him shooting at 38%, man, that makes the floor open up a lot for our guys who like to drive. And man, I hate to be so negative about RJ. I don't dislike Barrett as a player, but my questions are this: how long are we going to wait for him to pop? And what does him popping look like? I don't think he's ever going to be an efficient shooter or scorer. And I don't think he's necessarily going to be an elite defender. And I think those are really the things that we need if we're building around Jalen Brunson. And I think everybody here would agree that that's a good idea. That I don't think that RJ is the archetype of the player that we need. Just like Obi is not the right fit here. That doesn't mean he's a bad player and he won't make it in the NBA. But I do think that it makes sense when Julius was plus 171 on the season and Jalen was plus 152 on the season and Barrett was minus 62 on the season. If give me the choice of who I'm going to trade, it's going to be RJ Barrett every time. And I just don't, and I know he's now 23, but what are we expecting? Are we expecting him to make a leap like I don't know, like Jimmy did? I'm not. I mean, I don't. Can he improve his shooting? Yes, but the only year he ever was a positive on the floor was in his second season, and that's when he shot 40% from the corner three. Other than that, he's been a massively negative player for his entire Knicks career. And so if you're going to tell me that I can get him, and like I said, that's why if we're getting one of these other players, it's not going to be tit for tat. It's going to be RJ and. So my answer to that question is it depends on how big the and is. If the and is, again, if it was RJ, I'm just throwing this out. If it was RJ and Obi for Anunoby, I would probably do that. If it's a bunch of picks, if it's like 4 unprotected first round picks, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't think OG is the kind of player that garners trading away unprotected future first round picks for. But if you're talking about and I don't think he's really acquirable just because Ujiri doesn't like to make any trades that he doesn't definitely win. And Leon Rose doesn't like to make trades that he doesn't definitely win. So I don't know that there's a middle ground to make that trade happen. Right. I did notice that Gary Trent Jr. is picking up his player option. So maybe it's a cost-cutting maneuver for them. That was really the only avenue where I could really see where it would come to fruition. But to me, if you have a chance to get OG at the cost of RJ, I'm doing it like that.
Before we get to Ron, you've yet to go, correct? Oh, you muted. Oh, he went first. I just want to throw up the contract. So this is the thing. He's under contract for $18.6 million this year. He has a player option of $19.9 million that he may or may not pick up, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So the Knicks, if they did go that route, they would have to pay him. I do think with this new collective bargaining agreement, other than your top 2, maybe 3 players, I think everyone else is going to be squeezed down. I just don't really think they're going to get the contracts that they got under the prior collective bargaining agreement, because teams are going to be, they're not going to go over that second apron. They're not going to even touch it because your roster is pretty much locked in once you do that. So right now, I think that second apron is 179.5. They're phasing it in. So I don't think it may not be that punitive now, but let's just say it's one next season is 185, or whatever it is. Teams are going to stop short of that. They're not going to want to reach that top apron. So now you're trying to pay 12 guys, 15 guys, whatever it is, out of $184 million. I don't think we're going to see I don't know if you're going to have, like right now, say we sign Hart quickly at 20, Hart at 18, RJ 25, Randle 25. I don't think you're going to find those contracts anymore. I just don't think teams are going to go that way. Does Anunoby help the Knicks? Are the Knicks an Eastern Conference Finals team with, let's just say nothing changes and we run Grimes back? And I don't have anything against Grimes. I really hope that doesn't happen. I really like to see Grimes come off the bench. But let's just say we run it back with OG at the 3. Are the Knicks better? Are the Knicks, Eastern Conference Finals team? And I just want to say the Knicks are nice. OJ doesn't need an ISO game. We got enough players on the team with I think his ISO game has gotten better. I think his creating with the ball in his hand has gotten better. But that's part of the issue, I think. How many guys do we need that can create shots? But anyway, are we Eastern? We don't make any other changes but OG for Barrett. Are we an Eastern Conference Final potential team? Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts with other teams.
I think so, and I'll tell you why. I like the wing defense. In other words, you've got 3 of your 5 positions on the floor. You've got outstanding defenders now. And that means that Mitch doesn't have to do as much helping, which means that he gets to stay home more frequently and block more shots and hopefully get more rebounds. Come on, Big Mitch, get a rebound. But so I think that just changing those parts out and the increase, what was one of our other weaknesses was shooting, right? Perimeter shooting. He solves that too. He's a terrific perimeter shooter. He opens things up. You pop the ball out to him 38% of the time, he's going to make that 3, and probably if it's wide open. And how many open looks did the Knicks get and just miss last year? A ton of them. And so I like the wing defense. And again, if you have 2 guys who shoot 38% from 3, I like that as well. And I'm not worried about the shot creation aspect. In fact, I think that kind of is an extra layer of clunkiness when you have 3 guys who kind of have to make their own, soup there. I think it's kind of good to have just 2 guys who are doing that and then let the other 3 guys play off of that. I think it works really well. I just like the fit from a scheme perspective, and I love the fit from a defensive perspective. And I think Thibodeau would love having him. And then I also think it's good because you're allowed to keep Josh Hart on the bench, and you're allowed to keep, and you're allowed to keep Quickly on the bench. And so, and that's the other part of that too is, I am concerned about his health, but because we do have Josh Hart and we do have Quickly and we do have Grimes, if we did miss him for about 15 or 20 games, I think we have enough between those 3 guys to fill in the gaps until he gets back and he gets well, assuming they're all healthy, of course. What do you guys think?
You can answer that, but also, are we Eastern Conference Finals? Plus, what Jeff? If you want to comment on Jeff.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. What are we calling create his own shot? Is that driving to the basket like RJ bully balling? Is that what we calling create his own shot, or dribble top of the key, get somebody off of you and slam it and and shoot over them and scoring?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't see a lot of shot creation in RJ Barrett's game, but his ability to go downhill and get to the rim, I think he can do that on anybody.
Okay.
But you're right in terms of like, here's the ball, like you can do with Brunson or like you do with Randle and create your shot. I don't really see that in RJ Barrett's game.
Yeah, I don't see him create that space and shooting over anybody. I mean, but anyway, I just thought I'd ask that.
But I don't see it in OG's game neither. And what you got to realize, OG is the 4th option in Toronto. He's the 4th option. So he's whatever numbers he's putting up, he better put that up because it's Fleet, it's Pascal, and it's Barnes. Then it's him. And sometimes if Gary's on there, he might be the 5th option. So he need to be putting up those things. Just me personally, I still don't think that's going to get me to the Eastern Conference. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have Grimes, you're going to have OG, 2 defensive players, but sooner or later you got to get a bucket. When you play, one thing is we don't have an offensive set. We just got high pick and rolls. But you seen when the game got late in that 4th quarter, you know what I'm saying, with Denver and Miami, you know what I'm saying? the play set really was out of it. Yo, give it to the best man, let me get a bucket. That's how Denver beat them. Them two guys can get their own bucket. And the other guys can play difference. But then you're still allowing Julius to be what he said. He wouldn't mind stepping down. You're still making Julius a number 1/number 2 scorer on this team. You know what I mean? That's why I say, if I'm going to move my baby boy, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, the efficiency and all the numbers, and they line up better than with RJ's and all that. But when you get in that fourth quarter, if you can't give me no bucket, man, I don't.
But RJ can't do that either.
I understand that. But I take RJ's chances a little bit better than OG when he's a fourth option. That's just me.
Yeah, I understand. Let me ask you this though, because to me, it sounds like to me him being a fourth option and averaging 17 points is a negative, but to me it's a positive. To me, if you're the fourth option and you still putting up 17 points, you're not really getting a lot of shots. You know, because they're spreading the ball, you know, around it. I'm not quite sure if they have a clear pecking order like I talked about earlier, and you still averaging 17 points as a fourth option. That's telling me that when you do get the ball, you really fishing with it. You know, when you get the ball, you make something happen. You don't need to take 29 shots to get 20 points. You know, but one thing I will agree with you, Boogie, is if we're talking about right now, we're just talking about, I do think a swap for OG. I just think he's better than RJ Barrett. And I think that his ability to create shots is a little better than RJ Barrett. I'm not talking about bullying to the rim. I'm just talking about to create a shot is a little better than RJ Barrett, and he shoots better than him. But I agree with you that if you're talking about, you know, bringing in a star, he's not a star. In my opinion, he's better than RJ Barrett, but he's not a star. So to your point, I would agree with you. If you're saying that, you know, fine, he might be better than RJ Barrett, but I would reserve RJ Barrett to put him in a package for a star. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that.
That's just my whole thing, because you got to know Julius is not going nowhere unless he's being swapped for Zion. That's it. If he's not being swapped with Zion, Julius is not going nowhere, and ain't nobody gonna want Julius because they don't know how he's gonna come back off his foot. You know what I'm saying? But if something's changing him for Zion, New Orleans might do that. He got ties. He been there before. You know, had a good time, good situation there. And who knows? Zion might say, "Yeah, I need to be up out here." I don't know if he already said it, but I can't. RJ is gonna be my bread and butter for the biggest piece that I can move. I'm not just going to use him in a sign and trade for OG. I can't do that. That's just, you know, me. But I get where y'all come from too. It's just I got to have somebody that's going to do a lot of things if I'm going to get rid of that guy. But you talk about putting out. No, I ain't even going to carry you out of Portland. That's going off topic.
But listen, let's keep in mind RJ Barrett. I don't think RJ Barrett's trade value is super high. So if he's gonna have to go in a package, like you're not trading RJ Barrett for like a star. So if you were to go get OG, you might just have to add a little bit more. If you're talking about trading RJ Barrett for a star, you're gonna have to pony. You're gonna have to pony up. Because they see, because this is the thing for RJ Barrett. Over the 4 years he's been here, I haven't seen much improvement in his finishing at the rim. I haven't seen much improvement in his, forget adding something to his game, just doing what he does. I haven't seen much improvement in his defense. I haven't seen much improvement in his three-point shot. I haven't seen much improvement in his finishing at the rim. The improvement I've seen was in his free throw shooting. I haven't seen a lot of improvement in his floor game except for those 8 games in the playoffs. So we got to be real careful about, you know, like we talked about Julius Randle. Do you want to get off when the going is good? Do you want to get off when, you know, his value might be a little high and other GMs may be thinking he's turned the corner? Because remember, RJ's efficiency was a problem coming out of Duke. This is not new. And he just finished his fourth year, and I don't really see much turnaround in that. You understand? So I think as far as RJ's skill set is concerned, he has a ways to go. Now, he gets the ball enough, a 26 point, whatever his usage rate, he gets the ball enough to score those points. But when you look at his skill set, what are you getting from RJ Barrett, skill set wise? He doesn't have the handle. He doesn't have the shot creation. He's not shooting the three. He's not defending his position. I'm not trying to be down on him. I'm just trying to be real about, in my opinion anyway, who I think RJ Barrett is as a player.
Well, talk your ish. You not hurt my feelings by talking. I'm not an RJ. I'm not an RJ guy.
I know you're not. I know you're not.
Trust. It's just that if I'm going to move this guy, I got to move something that's going to become either a number one or a number two on this team. Not somebody that's going to come and be a number three. Even though his defense is great, his defense, and you know what I'm saying, he has heart, he know how to play the game. I get that. But
I get you. Because this is what I think. With this new CBA, I think is going to be Brunson. We got to find somebody who can play behind Brunson, with Brunson, and then everybody else is role players. I just think that's the way the CBA is shaping up. You got your two max guys, because Brunson is going to be a max. Find somebody else to pair with him. Everybody else is going to be middle of the pack guys. I don't know if we're going to be able to see like what they're doing in Phoenix. They better do it, because they're going to be locked in. Last question before we move to the next guy. Do you think?
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, if we had OG Anunoby this year, could we have made the Eastern Conference Finals? Yeah, probably. So. Next year is a whole other ball game. You know, the NBA is you don't know what it's going to be from year to year. So I don't know about that.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Because everybody everybody sees the same path forward that the Knicks see, and they're going to be loading up as well. Do you think OG, and I'll ask this for other guys other than Paul George, so we know he's passed. We know his ceiling. Do you think, like we got Brunson, he took off. We got Randle improved. Do you think OG is somebody who can take another step, or from what you guys seen, I don't know how much you've watched him, you feel like he's who he is?
Well, let me say real quick, I don't think he is who he is. I just don't know about his it's weird, because how can you be a really good, solid defensive player, and yet I question certain things about your makeup? I just don't think he's aggressive enough right now, right? And so but he may not need to be. If in the Knicks team, if the Knicks, my whole thing is like, none of these moves that the Knicks make, I don't necessarily, it's not easy to build the perfect team. You can't. There's no perfect team, right? But I think the Knicks need three moves. Mm-hmm. I think they need a 3-and-D small forward. Mm-hmm. I think they need a switching of a power forward, and it looks like that's going to happen. I think they need a little bit more, a little bit more physicality at the power forward position from a different type of entity, and I think they need a backup point guard. To me, those are definites. Now, you hope that the point guard and the 3-and-D give you the 3-point shooting you've been missing, so it kills all the birds. You know what I mean? I think that's what the Knicks need, regardless of what moves they do. But if you're talking about bringing in one piece here or there and kind of running it back the same way, Knicks are going to still run into the same type of problems when the defense starts to clamp down, when the games mean something, especially in the playoffs, when they get the starters out of there and it's up to the bench and there's nobody who can facilitate the offense and keep it going. It's always going to be a problem. It's going to be the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Anything else on OG before we move on to the next player?
Yes. Real quick, the last thing you asked is, can OG get better? Yeah, he's 25 years old. Right? I mean, if his injuries don't get in his way, you could bet that he's going to get better. The same way we think RJ is going to get better. Like, why do we think RJ is going to get better? And the guy, he hasn't hit his prime yet, OG Anunoby, and he's already pretty good. So,
and AJ, not to cut you off, but I
Mhm.
am cutting you off. RJ has to get better because to me he's gotten worse.
There's no other way. There's no other way to go. Basically,
no, you could.
I mean, no, there's no other way to go.
No, there is
So-
another way to go. You could go even.
Oh well, yeah, I guess you could.
Can always be worse.
You could always
Yeah,
be worse.
I guess.
and the other possibility is, he didn't get an opportunity to shine over there. Now, I don't know how much shining you doing with with Brunson and Randle taking a lot of the shots too, but there is a clearer pecking order, I think, on the Knicks than it is in Cleveland, where all of those guys you can argue are pretty much on the same.
Did you say Cleveland?
I meant Toronto.
Well, yeah, Queen. Yeah, you in Cleveland. Yeah, I'm watching you. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Now, I don't know. Oh, what happened? All right, let me move this out the way. Now, like I said, I haven't heard Andrew Wiggins for the Knicks. I heard him that the Golden State may be looking to move him and that Sacramento was in on him. So last year, we'll get to the games played. Last year, RJ Barrett, like we said, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. We went over, what he shot. Andrew Wiggins had an issue. I don't know if it was his father or something. He just missed a lot of games last night. If anybody has clarity on that, please share. But 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 47% from the field, 39.6% from the free throw line. Last year, he only shot 61.1% from the free throw line. He's 72% for his career. His net rating is plus 3.5, and he had a usage of 21.5%, at least during those 37 games, and over his career, 24.9. But I think most of that was probably in Minnesota when he was, at least at that time, they thought he could be the number one guy. I already know what Boogie's saying. I'm not putting RJ Barrett in a package for Andrew Wiggins. I'm saving my baby boy for a star. Okay. But anyway, we're going to go the other way. Jeff, Boogie, Ajay, Ron.
I'll tell you my concern with Wiggins. He never shot the three-pointer well outside of with the Warriors. Now, maybe he just learned to shoot at that stage of his career, or maybe he just gets really, really, really wide open, great looks because he plays with Steph and Clay. And the free throw shooting is kind of abysmal. Or at least it was last year. I like his defense. I think he's improved a lot as a player. I'm just real leery because I kind of feel like it's the Golden State Warrior effect, if that's even a thing. But I just kind of have a feeling like if you take him out of that environment, I don't know if you're going to get the same results. And maybe that's unfair to him, but that's my concern with him. But he checks off a lot of boxes. I mean, as far as he's a good defensive wing now. If his 3-pointer is true, which again the last 3 years he shot the ball pretty well, so maybe it is. Then again, it's a low bar to cross, but better than RJ, yes. Would I? And how old is he? 28, 26?
28.
Oh, that's 28.
28.
Thank you.
28. Okay. So he's in his prime now. So I kind of think he's a WYSIWYG guy. What you see is what you get at this point. I don't see a lot of massive upside there.
Wizzy Wiggin.
Yeah, Wizzy Wiggins, yeah. So that's how I feel that I was kind of surprised he was on the list, but I kind of was trying to talk myself into, well, how can I make him fit on the Knicks? And he's not the worst player in the world, but I wouldn't be my top target either, I guess is the way that I put it.
Okay. Fair. Boogie, did I already take your steam with what I said in the beginning?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and have that. I'm just gonna feed off. I'm gonna keep him in the same realm. Another fourth guy option. I'm not getting rid of RJ for another fourth guy option. I'm just not. He's the fourth option behind Clay. Behind Clay, Curry, and Draymond runs the show. He's the point forward on their team. So he's the fourth option, man. I'm not getting rid of my baby for this guy. And like Jerry just said, I don't know what he'll look like without them other guys around. I don't know. Can he handle the city right here? Can he handle the high beams? You know what I'm saying? Because they don't bright when you're over here. Real bright. They're not dim. They're not blue bulbs. They're not red bulbs. They're high beams inside that building. Can you handle that spot beam? I don't know if he can do that. But he checks off a lot of boxes. He's a nice ball player and all that. But I still can't move him from a fourth spot to become a number 2/3. That's what he would be. He would share that number 2 spot, with Julius from time to time, because until somebody come in that's better than Brunson is our one. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because he playing the one. He is the one that he is our engine. He is going to, is the reason why the train is riding the engine. But we need somebody that's going to drive while he's running, while the engine is cooking. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I can't do it.
Okay. AJ and then Ron.
It was my turn.
Yes.
All right. So
contract too. Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of the show, we were talking about Obi Toppins, right? And one of the things you guys said is, I don't know if you guys or if I read that in the chat, right? Your value is what the league says your value is, what everybody else is offering for you. That's what determines your value.
That's a lot of money.
Jay Boogie, you're not gonna get a number one, a number one for RJ Barrett. You're not gonna get that. So if that's the case, then you're not moving RJ Barrett, because you're not gonna get a first option guy anywhere. No, like the league doesn't see RJ Barrett as a first option, so you're not gonna get that. And I just want to say it because we got to keep the same standard for all the players. RJ Barrett is I don't know what was he on the Knicks, third option.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you got to look at. You got to look at somebody to come take that third spot. Third highest usage. But
if you put him in a package though, but to your point though, if you're putting him in a package for a number one guy, you're going to have to pony up.
Yeah.
You're not going to be RJ Barrett and 2 first-round picks.
Listen, and Queen, like you said, those GMs are smart. They see this, the same thing we kind of notice. Those guys see in details, right? With all kind of numbers. You see the Matrix with all the characters running. Those guys, they read those things just like this. With all these, we don't see all that. We don't have as much data as they do. But they really analyze that stuff. But Andrew Wiggins for RJ Barrett, I
just threw him in there, guys. I'm just trying to be.
Honestly, listen,
who I put in.
His game is not good enough. Yeah, I know he won a chip with Golden State Warriors. I probably could have won a chip with the Golden State Warriors too at my age. His game to me is not good enough to swap one-on-one with RJ Barrett. I just like Jay Boogie pointed out, he's hitting 3-pointers, but he's playing, you playing with Steph, Clay, you're gonna be open. I mean, you're gonna have to take the shot. And more often than not, if you're an NBA player, if you make it thus far, he was the number 1 draft pick. I'm sure he could put the ball in the hole. So if you're playing with those guys, you're gonna be open. The game's gonna come a lot easier. So I'd like to see him on another team to see how he performs on another team going forward. I mean, we've seen him on preview. We've seen him on Minnesota. But yeah, no, I don't think, to me, He's not, his game to me is not good enough to part ways with RJ Barrett. I think RJ Barrett could probably, RJ Barrett's 23, man. Like he has in 5 years. Do I think he could be better than what Andrew Wiggins is now? Yeah, I think so.
But how though? Like I don't see him becoming a better shooter than Wiggins. Wiggins is shooting.
Well, it doesn't have to be just shooter. I mean, shooting. You
and
really want to score.
defender.
You
And
really.
defender.
I think he could be. Well, I mean,
And a defender as well. Listen, I'm with you guys. I'm not saying that I'm with Boogie here. I want to put RJ Barrett in a package. So I agree with you. I'm with you on that. But if you're just comparing the players, 35% for his career, 39.6%. Like that free throw shooting is definitely concerned. But he can defend his position. I think is important around Jalen Brunson and Randle. You got whoever we bring in has to be able to defend their position. RJ Barrett can't defend his position, in my opinion. Wiggins can defend his position. He's a 3-and-D guy. Now, I think it was Jeff. You brought up a good point. Was this just the Golden State effect? What's the Golden State effect? You're going to get open looks. I think with Brunson and Randle, you're going to get open looks.
And not the same open looks though. And then
what's going to be different about the looks?
Queen,
you're going to get them in a different spot than you like an open look is an open look.
No, these guys, they command more attention than Julius Randle. Stephen Clay, they command more attention than Julius Randle. They attract more defense than Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson.
But okay, so with Golden State, you got 3 feet, and with the Knicks, you're gonna get 2 feet. I mean, you're gonna still get an open shot. Listen, I'm not advocating for trading RJ Barrett for Wiggins, but I'm looking at skill set, and Wiggins can handle the ball too. He can handle the ball. I'm not saying it's a trade I would do, but skill set for skill set. Now, motor is an issue. Motor.
I'd take a chance. I'd take a chance on RJ at his age. I think. I don't know. I just don't feel like Wiggins is good enough for me to part ways with RJ Barrett. He's okay. He's a good player, but he's not. I don't think.
Knicks have been better last year with forget the trade. Let's just say from Magic, you were able to plug Andrew Wiggins into RJ Barrett's spot last year. Would the Knicks have been a better team?
Queen, I'm gonna say something that may sound mean. RJ Barrett was the weak link last year, so I think most players you have on that list, you plug him instead of RJ Barrett, we have a better team. RJ Barrett was terrible this past season. I know, you guys, you want to point out what he did in the playoffs. Yeah, he played well in the playoffs, but throughout the course of the season, he was terrible. I was very disappointed in RJ Barrett. He was terrible. Anybody on that list you plug in for RJ Barrett would have been better.
Okay. And that's all the exercise is. I mean, it's not, that's all it is, okay. And I think we would have had now I will say this. We're talking about an engaged Wiggins, right? We're not talking about low motor Wiggins. We're talking about an engaged Wiggins, because that's one thing about RJ Barrett. He comes to play every night. You don't have to question, his motor. I don't ever remember questioning, his motor, right? That's been the knock on Andrew, Wiggins at times, that he's just not generating, yeah, just not. He's just not he doesn't have a self motor, motivating. But in terms of the skill set, I think he has a better skill set than RJ Barrett. And if he's an engaged player, the Knicks, I think last year would have had a better opportunity. But this is the other thing, though. Let's just move to the contract. He signed a 4-year, $109 million contract extension that kicks in this year. So him and RJ Barrett, if I'm not mistaken, both of their contract extensions, RJ Barrett is 4-year, $107 million. Oh, it's right there. and Wiggins is 4 years, 109 million, and they both start this year. That's a lot of, I agree, but I mean, listen, if you're going to pay RJ, the money is, kind of similar. The money is kind of similar. All right.
Hey, Queen, real quick, when you said a very big, important word, and the word was engaged. The thing is, you talking about you can't just take Wiggins out of a cut and slash and moving, constant ball moving, less bounce, offense and put him in our offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's two different type offense. We don't have we don't have cutting and slashing and ball moving and all that like Golden State or like Toronto. Right. So shots are created amongst both of those offensive sets. When you talk about either OG or if you talk about, with Wiggins, can you come in here and play high pick and roll, or can you come here? Are you gonna be okay without slashing, without cutting, and just becoming a spot up shooter? Because that's what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we run. If it ain't a timeout and the play development call, all we do is high pick and roll. Ain't no ball movement, backdoor cut, slashing, none of that. It's one-on-one. So when you say engaged, that's very important. Is Wiggins engaged to be in this offensive set, being babied and pampered in that Golden State set? And pretty much the same thing almost go for OG. But I get it. Both of them defensive players. I get that. But they got to be engaged to come over here and play in this trash. We ain't got no offense, man.
Yeah. Let me get to super chat. Shout out to Paris Duggar.
Happy Father's Day to you, Paris.
Wiggins was out because of a devastating breakup. Yes. Yeah. Definitely. The coolest 718. How long did Denver wait for Murray? Bucks waited for Giannis, but Knicks fans always want to trade for who we got on the team? Like the coolest 718. Who would you sit on? Who do you think has that type of potential that you would sit on because you believe they're going to develop into those type of players? I would really like to hear that.
While you're waiting for D Cooler 718 to come up with that name, I'm gonna remind everybody to hit that like button. All right, because we got more. We got like 220 some people in the chat and only about 100 likes. That means more than half of us is not hitting that like button, man. Come on. If y'all appreciating the show, if y'all appreciating this conversation, man, that's the least you could do for the queen, for Dope Soul Sports Talk, who putting all this good content out here for you guys. So just hit the like button, man. Hit the like button. Yes. It's very important because YouTube look at those and they recommend show based on how many likes those shows get. So if somebody type in Knicks and we get a lot of likes, so Queen Steph and Dope Soul and all these shows, they get recommended by YouTube. That's how it works. So hit the like button, man.
Yes, I thank you, RJ. I appreciate it. Shaw Legacy, I can't say I disagree. I believe our offense changes when we upgrade our roster. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. I think his name has been mentioned a lot this past few days, I think, connected to the Knicks. So we already know what RJ Barrett, his points, rebounds, shooting percentage, shooting splits were this season. So for Zach LaVine, he played 77 games. I think that's important because injury has been a concern with him. He played 35.9 minutes. Again, I'm just mentioning this with him because playing, injuries was a concern. He averaged 25 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, shot 48.5% from the field, 37.3% from the three-point line, basically 85% from the free throw line. Now, and his net rating was positive 0.3, barely, eked in there. But this is what I would ask for you guys to keep in the background as we go around. One, he's another guy that's young enough. So I want you guys to kind of bake into your answer if you think he's reached his ceiling or he may have another level to go. And defensively, does environment matter? Can you have guys who up to this point haven't really been seen as defensive guys, but do you think he can become a defensive guy? So let's start with, what did we do before? Let's start with AJ, Ron, Jeff, Boogie.
Jeff barely spoke tonight.
Okay, didn't we start with Jeff the last time? No,
you started with me the last time. Start with AJ. I'm good.
Man, Zach LaVine.
We ain't start with Jeff the last time.
We didn't.
No.
I thought we started with the top and then the bottom or something. It doesn't matter, Jeff. If you want to go ahead.
Well, I can go. That's fine.
Yeah, Jeff.
If Zach LaVine was making RJ Barrett money, I would be all over that in a heartbeat. My biggest problem with LaVine is the LaVine contract. I don't know that I want to pay that guy $50 million, but man, he solves a lot of our issues on offense, and if he's a prototype wing player that the Knicks like, because he's good on those spot up. He can create his own shot, create his own 3-point shot off the dribble, which is something that the Knicks really like as far as archetype of players. At first, when I heard this, like at the trade deadline, there was a little bit of LaVine to the Knicks talk, but it was mostly coming out of Chicago. A newspaper writer, I don't remember his name, and I was, my initial reaction was, please God, no. And then the more that I've studied it and looked into it, he's not my favorite player, but I understand the logic in it. He's 28 though, so he's not that young. I think as far as a guard is concerned, I think he's probably at his ceiling, which is very good. He's probably a better defender than RJ is. I don't know that makes him a good defender, but I think you could at least make the case that especially when he's guarding threes, he seems to grade out at least decently. And man, he's a walk-in bucket. I also don't know, is he the kind of guy who's going to want to take a backseat to Brunson and Randle, or is he want to be the number one guy? I don't know. I didn't watch Chicago all that much, so I don't know really what the dynamic was between he and Vooch and DeRozan. So I can't speak to that. I've heard rumblings that maybe he was a malcontent, but I don't want to say that. I don't think it's fair without having followed it. But this is the move that that is probably the most likely for the Knicks to make if the Bulls decide that they've had enough of LaVine. This is kind of the move that makes a lot of sense and cost-wise probably be something that the Knicks would be willing to pay. But yeah, like I said, if the contract was better, I would be more about it. But you're paying this guy like a number one, and I just don't think of him as a number one. And I'm not even sure he's a real number two. Just for the fact that, and this isn't totally fair, but Chicago never really did anything, and I guess when Lonzo Ball was healthy, they were top 3 in the East. But I mean, he's as big a question mark in the postseason as any of our other young guys. And at that salary, I kind of want more certainty when it comes to, in other words, if we're going to be taking the next step, it's got to be with someone we're confident is going to come through in the playoffs the way that Jalen Brunson does, because we're already not sure about what we're getting from Julius. I kind of feel like the third time might be the charm for him. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my part, but I kind of feel like that he may be a little bit a victim of circumstances. I I guess I would say a definite maybe. I think he's a better player than RJ. I don't know if he's $30 million better though. That's my deal.
I just want to make 2 points really quick. Number one, none of the guys linked to the Knicks are stars. So the Knicks are not going to get any star unless you know, a Giannis breaks out, you know, becomes available, a Embiid becomes available, or so the Knicks are going to be everybody that's been associated with the Knicks have question marks, whether that's Cat, whether that's Levine, whether that's who else? Donovan. Like we can go down the line. None of those guys are going to be perfect. There's going to always be some negativity, something negative about them. The second thing I want to say about the money is keep in mind their money goes up, but the cap goes up as well. And so when I was looking at all of these guys' contract, the percentage of the cap goes down for them. So like they start at maybe 35% of the cap for max players. I think that's what it is, 35% of the cap. As the cap goes up, their percentage against the cap goes down, right? So he'll be making 50 million or 48 million or what it is, but the cap is going to be more. And somebody made this point. I don't know if it was Fred Katz, Macri showed somebody that those contracts go up 8% per year. The salary cap, provided that the money comes in, and there's no reason to think it won't, is going to rise at a 10% rate, unless something happens, because they're smoothing it out. So even if there is a bump in revenue because of what happened a few years ago when Golden State was able to sign Durant, even if the revenue goes up, they're not going to go. It's always going to be 10% or less of the cap. So the point I'm trying to make is Towns and anybody the Knicks want is going to be making money. There's no way around it. And if we're saying we don't want to pay 40, we don't want to pay 50, then basically we stay in pat. We're waiting for Embiid, and we're waiting for Giannis, and we're waiting for the Joker. We're just gonna stand pat because those next tier guys, this is what they make. I don't see any way around it. This is what they make. But I agree with you. I think he has another level. I think he has another level. I think there's some guys you put in the right environment, things change. As long as he's healthy, I'm okay. I'm okay with Levine. None of these guys I'm beating the table for, I got to be honest. But I'm okay with it. Whoever was next.
I think Zach LaVine winds up being a New York Knick.
Oh, okay.
I think so too, but
yeah. I wasn't in love with it earlier in the year, but like I said, I didn't know too much about Zach LaVine. I didn't care to watch what the Bulls got going on too much, only when I have to. But yeah, he's a lot healthier than I thought, and his numbers are damn good. I mean, he can score. He's a offensive weapon. His ceiling, I mean, I could see how he might get a little better, but I really don't think he will. I think he's kind of capped off, and there's nothing wrong with that. 25 points per game is a nice place to be, and he's there consistently. He can get his when he wants to get it, and the fact that he shoots the ball very well from the perimeter just makes him that much of a dynamic weapon. I mean, if he's going good from the outside, I mean, he's a nightmare once he gets inside. If he gets a step on you, look out. So, yeah, I can't really say too much about him negatively. Even the defensive side of things, is he's the greatest defender? No, he's not. But when I was looking at his defensive ratings and stuff before, he levels out at average. So, I mean, average is a lot better than what we've been getting from some other guys on the team. And so I think that's fine. It's an upgrade in offense over RJ. It's an upgrade in defense over RJ. And LaVine also gives you that If you need me to get the bucket, I can get the bucket. So, we got that. We get that from Brunson already, but it's nothing wrong with having two guys that can do that. The money was always a big thing for me. That was the reason why the money's in the injury history. But the injury history, I'm warmed up a little bit on that, so I'm cool with it. The money, though, the money's a lot. But if they're gonna, this is my whole thing that I've said with regards to any of these players. If the Knicks are just weighing the options and seeing what's out there, and they really don't have a lot of intent on doing anything like this and touching, the big splash market, if you want to call it that, well, whatever, just look at them, whatever, and find the right pieces to build the team. But if they're looking like, okay, we've kind of dilly-dallied around, now we're going to go get somebody and it's going to cost us a little money. If you're going to do it anyway, out of a lot of people I've been seeing, you might as well go out and get Zach LaVine. So I kind of think that's what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks wind up with Zach LaVine or even Cat. I can't even believe I just said it. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So yeah, that's my take.
Let me read the super chat before we go to the next person. Ricardo, appreciate you, brother. Always rocking with us. Appreciate you. Queen, this is the guy. He can get his own bucket and he can handle the ball. He's the perfect third wheel. And as for money, we're going to have to pay somebody. LaVine and Brooke Lopez or Trey Lyles and Paul George. Good point. My preference, if we are going to get a star or whoever we're going to bring in, I would like them to play at that wing position. I just think you get somebody at that center and that power forward position, it's just easier to scheme against them because they just play in such limited space. Except for Cat, I do think Cat could operate out the wing in a playoff series if they, I don't think he has to be stuck down in the post. I think he would still, he could still be effective. But if I had to pick between Cat and LaVine, if you pressed me, I would pick LaVine. Appreciate you, Ricardo. Anybody else?
I think I didn't say anything about the Zach LaVine situation. So at this point in his career, I think Zach LaVine is obviously a better player than RJ Barrett, and he would probably be a good fit in this lineup, in this current team that we have. So if money's no object, yeah, I would go Zach LaVine to replace RJ Barrett. And I don't think money's an option as much as we make it, us fans. I don't think the front office is, listen, you got to spend money to make money, right? And the Knicks is one of the teams that make the most money in the league somehow. But yeah, player for player, I think Zach LaVine would be a very good fit with with what we have right now. So I would do it. Don't get Queen started on Brandon Ingram, man.
I didn't even put him in there because I just don't think New Orleans is moving him. But that would be, he has the injury history. All of these guys, there's something, there's something with him. But I take my chance on Ingram. Anybody else on LaVine?
Yeah, it's on me. I'm supposed to go last. I'm bringing LaVine over here. Reason why? Because I'm not in position to waste Jalen Brunson's time. You know what I'm saying? While he's on this great contract right now, I have to fill it up in all areas. And that means if it takes scoring buckets and money, this is what I have to do. You talking about a dude that's a walking bucket that can get it from every phase of the floor, whether it's getting to the basket, the mid-range, or whether it's the three, whether it's transition, and he knocks down free throws. I don't care. The money situation, I don't care about it. Jerry said earlier, I think it was Jerry that said paying him, I don't know if paying him $30 million more than RJ. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like paying him $14 million more than that $34 million we got sitting on the bench. And Derrick Rose and the other guy, them two
Fournier.
guys. Yeah, Fournier. sitting on the bench making 34, 36. That's what I look at far as, and this dude right here, I can just see him right now in that starting rotation. And then he goes to the bench, you know what I'm saying? And then he comes back in the game when Brunson and Julius go out of the game. I saw Jalen, Brunson, and Julius out of the game, and we didn't have nobody to carry nothing on, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what is he doing? You can't have both of them guys sitting on the bench. But with this guy, he's on that floor, and he perhaps with quickly with Josh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, man, he's getting ready to turn it all the way up. I can just see this guy, you know what I'm saying, trying to let everybody know I got a new gear. I'm feeling better. I'm out of Chicago. I'm made for the big city, the big lights, because I'm used to playing in Chicago. I just, with this guy here, man, it's going to give us an opportunity, to go ahead and let people know. Now we got a guy that can get some buckets from anywhere on the floor at any given time, you know what I'm saying? Now he can be the number 1 or number 2 or number 3, he can just do all that. The defense, you know what I'm saying? We don't know. Injuries, anybody can get hurt, man. But you're talking about getting a bucket. If the Knicks are serious about rocking with Jalen Brunson's time right now on this 4-year contract he got, and that's the window, go ahead and make the best of Jalen Brunson, because the next contract, if you keep him here, is not going to be so, genuine for the Knicks, especially if he keep doing what he's doing. And like I've been saying, I believe we got the best point guard in the East. That's where I feel right here, all hearts down. That's why I feel like the Fevers, they gave him the Spalding. They building that team around him and everything. Jalen Brunson, they're looking at Jalen Brunson like, yo, we owe you a lot. And Jalen Brunson is getting ready to become a big face, you know what I'm saying? And what's going on, what's happening right now. But, yeah, I'm putting Levine with him. I'm making the trade. I'm making the deal ASAP. As soon as, matter of fact, Leon, pick up the phone. Don't even wait for them to call. Right now.
Queen, I wanna answer one of the chat. Shout out to Nick Yak, who asked who's Levine taking shots from. He taking RJ Barrett shots. He's not taking shots from anybody. He's taking all them shots that RJ Barrett used to get that he's inefficient at. Those are the shots that Levine would get, and I bet you he'd be more efficient at it.
Do you
take what?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, he take whatever shot he feel like the man is in front of him. See, you got to look at the man that's in front of you, and that's something Grimes don't do. He just look in the system shots. You're talking about a guy that can look you dead in your face and know if I can bust you. You know what I'm saying? We don't have enough guys to test somebody to see if somebody can check them. Besides, you know what I'm saying, Brunson, and besides, at Julius. But this guy, he know he can take you. You know what I'm saying? That's just, knick-knack, let you know. You got to, man, go ahead.
Is he good enough, though? And I like him, but is he good enough to put next to Brunson and you feel like you can build a team around? Like I said, with the new CBA, I think it's just going to be 2 guys that you're building around. Do you think you can build a championship contending team around Brunson and Levine? And that third player can be RJ, it could be Randle, it could be whoever. But can they be your 2 best players?
Yeah,
maybe they don't
why
have
not.
to be, because, and this is what I mean, you get Levine in the door, and if Levine plays well, maybe Levine is then the piece that goes into a deal to get an even better player.
That's
you know what I'm saying? In other words, we're just saying RJ is not the kind of guy that you can get another, star for. It has to, but and Levine by himself may not be either. But if you're going to be losing a star, because that's what we're talking about, right? If someone in that upper echelon is becoming available, it's because they're disgruntled, right? Because otherwise there's nobody getting rid of them, right? But if you're saying, okay, well, I'm losing this guy anyway, but then I'm getting this guy who can do 24, 4, and 4 on decent percentages. And I'm getting some draft capital, 2 or 3 first-round picks, and I'm getting maybe another young piece. All of a sudden, maybe that's a deal for a star. So even if it's not the case, as I'm talking myself into Zach LaVine as we speak here, but even if that's not the case, that we're building a championship with those 2 guys, maybe it's a stepping. Is that right? Could that be maybe a stepping stone toward a star?
Yeah, if Giannis was to become available, if one of those guys can become available, yes, you can definitely put Levine in that trade. No doubt about it. That's a very good point, Jeff. I didn't even think about it
And
like that.
even if, I mean, that is a really good point. You could do something like that going forward. It's a better asset. It's like adding more value to your investment.
Right.
But even if you're not moving him, you can build with Brunson and Levine. I don't see why not. Brunson is not the greatest defender, but you saw that he held his own a lot throughout this year. He got beat here and there because we know he's not a good defender and he lacks the height, but he held his own because he's willing. Levine is in the same way. He's a willing defender, so that's why he rates out at average. But you gotta just basically put the right pieces around these two guys to make it happen. We've got, as far as defense goes, we've got a couple of the pieces already here. We need more, and you also still need to figure out how you're going to improve on the bench. But there's ways. Look, if you just look at the Bulls itself, as far as defense goes, they got nothing from their bigs. Vucevic is a scorer. He ain't a defender. Right. And whoever else they had backing him up didn't do a lot on the defensive side. And then they had no floor orchestration and no point guard, losing Lonzo Ball. If you added a defensive piece to the center position and had Lonzo Ball, the Bulls might be in the Eastern Conference Finals. We'd be talking about them right now. So I think you can do it with Levine and Brunson. The Knicks just have to have a smart game plan and start. Like I'm loving the fact that they are willing to improve the team, but I need them to be willing to improve all facets of the team. Don't just give me one piece and not deal with the other issues. That's what I want to see.
Right. And the three moves, the three moves that you said in the beginning that you think the Knicks need to address, I wholeheartedly agree with that 100%. Keith Turner, Randle has to be the third guy for it to work, and he don't mind taking the backseat. I agree with you. That's where I see. I know the tomatoes are coming. That's where I see Randle as that third guy. You got two guys better than him. Even if they're not better than him skill-wise, you can maybe count on them a little bit more in these high-pressure situations, though the jury is still out with Levine, right? I don't think he has a lot of playoff experience. But going forward, I'm not sure how much Randle is going to be able to stay also, because in 2 years, when Brunson gets his max, Randle is going to be eligible for a max that same season. And I don't really see the Knicks maxing him. And Levine is already on a max, and then maxing Randle. I don't see that. So I do think as time goes on, that third player is going to be somebody different than Randle. I'm not saying they're going to do that right now because he's on a reasonable contract, but 2 years from now, when it's time to pony up again, I don't see Randle being here if we get Levine. I really see you're going to have your two max players, and then the salary is going to drop significantly after that.
You can be in good shape with just, with those two guys, with Levine and Brunson, because you got to, the superstar legacy right now is coming to an end. It's just about over. A lot of these guys are not getting big superstar mega monster contracts no more. Kevin Durant, when his is over, it's over. You probably got three guys out there that can receive another monster mega deal. And that's Giannis, that's Joker, and Joker's not going nowhere. You can believe that. And maybe Luka, because he's still young. Everybody else, all these other older guys and everything, then that's when you can really, put a whole bunch of people and make a good, complete roster. You know what I'm saying? If you got two guys that's in there, you can put at least 5 more guys, 6 more guys around them, like especially if Julius walks. Come 25, the year 25, Oh man, all that Bradley Bill, he ain't getting no more money like that. These guys is not getting Dame, he ain't getting no more money like that. You know, these guys is not getting more money. Oh, my bad. I left out that young boy over there across the bridge. He might get some big money, you know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna need to keep something over there, you know what I'm saying, with the Nets, you know. But you know, yeah, all that big time money, that's over with. Everybody gotta fit in. And then, like you said, if you got two guys, you know what I'm saying? You can build a roster, but you know what I'm saying? But that's better than have to build a roster and you don't have nobody, you know.
Right.
And you know, so
No doubt. Let me read this super chat. Ricardo, I appreciate you. Have me a nice lunch tomorrow. Thank you. I appreciate you. Queen, there's nobody on this team does he play off the rim, and he's an excellent finisher, something RJ is not. Levine is a number one. Oh, I thought you were gonna say he's a number one option, but he's the number one option to get. Listen, I can't argue with you, Ricardo. He moves the needle. Levine moves the needle, and if Randle takes, you know, like you know, Jeff said earlier, maybe the third time is the charm in the playoffs. Now you're talking about a really, really potent team. Because think about it. If Randle on the contract that he's on right now, the same play he is in the regular season was the same play he was in the playoffs, we on a different level. You know, and you're able to bring in somebody like Levine, and you might not even have to. Like if Randle was that, we might not even have to look at guys at Levine's level. But if you are able to do that, and Randle is playing on that level, the Knicks are good money. But we just don't know that yet.
And Steph, could you pull up Levine's numbers again?
The regular numbers or the contract?
No, the regular numbers.
Okay, okay.
So, you know, I know a lot of fellow Knick fans in the chat are feeling a certain way because they just don't feel like Levine is the sexy choice. But I'm just gonna remind you guys that our team struggled in a lot of different facets. Okay, Levine not only gives you 25 points per game, gives you 4.5 rebounds, for you know, a little over 4 assists. So he helps move the ball. You know, the ball doesn't stick with him, even though he can get chucky, but he moves the ball. But efficient shooting from the field and three, but most importantly, 84, almost 85% from the free throw line. The Knicks struggle shooting free throws, folks. This is a guy who knocks them down. You pair him with Brunson, who knocks him down. And, you know, if you add another, you know, minor piece that can fit in the lineup that might be a decent free throw shooter, you improve this team tremendously when it comes to that. We're not giving away as many points. We got better options. And if Quickly's still on this team, you got good free throw shooting. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's different ways that he helps this team. It's not all about the fact that he's not a lockdown defender. Although he's an average defender, and average defense is something we lack too. We don't even have a lot of average defenders. So I'm just saying. All right, that's my spiel.
Yeah, y'all kind of talking me into Levine. Not that I was super down on him. I just wasn't super, you know, high on him. And look at that usage. So he's used to being in that, you know, in that role. We don't have to worry about, you know, like an OG, you know, not that he would have been in Levine's role anyway, but still, you know, you're wondering, can he take on a bit more usage? Levine is already there, 28.3% last year on his team. That might have been number one. Not sure. I don't have the Bulls usage in front of me, but between him and DeRozan,
I think it fluctuated. Yeah.
Okay.
Between those two.
Yeah. We did the contract already. Like I said, I think as the years go on, his numbers go up, but the salary cap goes up as well. And so it actually becomes less of percentage of the salary cap as the years go on. Let's get to this last guy. And apparently there's been some news. Let me see. I did star it. Okay. AKBM breaking news. The Los Angeles Clippers have reportedly left rival teams with the impression that they are gauging Paul George's trade value. And he is actually the next guy I wanted to talk about. And listen, none of these guys are perfect. There's some negatives either way. But last year he played 56. Oh my God. He played anyway. No matter who you talk about, Levine has an injury history, even though the last 2 seasons, I think he's been okay. Cat missed about 596 games this season as well. I think he went out somewhere in October and came back like 2 games, before the playoffs. So, he played 56 games, 35 minutes. He averaged 23.8 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 45.7 points from the field, 37 points from the 3-point line, 37%, from the 3-point line, 57% from the 87% from the free throw line. And his net rating, the difference between his offense and defense, is +4. Now he's played, you see where I have career, that's the game / how many seasons. So he's been in the NBA 13 seasons already. This would be his 14th season coming up. And let me just get to his contract before we start talking. Next year, he makes $45.6 million. And then the year after, 48.7, but that's a player option. He might accept it.
He's accepting that.
Right. Or he might opt out for more years. But again, so it's a 2-year contract, essentially. And it would end with Brunson and Randle. Right? So I can bring that up if anybody wants me to bring it up. Thoughts? I'm bringing the slide back up. Thoughts on Paul George, RJ Barrett versus Paul George at that small forward position. AJ?
Queen, you know how I feel about them 100-year-old players that get hurt all the time and making all that money. I wouldn't listen. Paul George is, galaxies away better than RJ Barrett. I admit that. He's a great player. He's had a great career. If we bring in Paul George, it makes our window of opportunity that much smaller, because you don't have a lot of time. You got to get it done within a year or 2, or it's a bust, right? I'm not bringing him here for all that money, just to get 1 or 2 good years out of him, and then we're stuck with him. We have to pay him, a whole lot of money for him to sit on the bench, do nothing. No, I wouldn't
let him go though. He'll be a free agent. You can let him go after the 2 years. That's an option.
That's still a lot of money. What's the total? Like, we paying this guy $80 million for 2 years? That he probably play like 1 season's worth. With his injury. I mean, he literally gets injured every season. And at his age, it's probably going to get worse. Like, it's going to take him longer to return. It's going to take him longer to get into shape. It's just, the money against. I mean, he is a superb talent. He's great. Like I said, way better than RJ Barrett at this point. But I just don't think it would be a good investment. So I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it either. Paul George to me is a win now type guy. Fits a Boston, fits a Milwaukee,
Phoenix.
Well, they definitely can't get him now, but but he fits that style of team. Like, I like his game though, and he plays defense. But he's just not healthy enough. And even when he is healthy, he's one of them dudes now. He's load management. I don't want no load management guys on the Knicks.
I know Kawhi Leonard is definitely
he was load management too. Okay. Kawhi was more load management.
Okay.
Paul George was load management when he was coming back from injury, and then there was a point in the season where both of them were out, so they were doing their little thing again. But it's definitely more Kawhi. Yeah, I just I don't know. I definitely like what he brings, but he's 33 years old. I don't know. I mean, if you don't like other guys that the Knicks look at, I don't know if Paul George is the one you want. And I don't know if the Knicks are really ready. I think Paul George coming here might be a waste of Paul George's time. He might make us better, but I don't know if we're ready to take unless we have enough. The Knicks would have to go into that Miami bag. Okay, this is the year we're bringing everybody. Ray Allen come out at Birdman. We're bringing everybody. It would have to be one of them things to really capitalize on having Paul George here.
I will say this: the Knicks are not ready because they don't have the players. When you get the players, you're ready. You know what I mean? I mean, that's it. Once you get the players, you're ready. It don't have to be we 2 years away, we 3 years away. We a player away from being ready, depending on who you get. Let me just shout out to Trav B. Ryan. I appreciate you, brother. Paul George basketball IQ is off the charts. He has chemistry with Randle, though, and Randle will learn a lot from him. It's a nah for me, though. Appreciate you, Trav.
That's the funniest super chat ever. Like, let me tell you the reasons why this looks good, but nah. I hear you, Trav.
Anybody else on Paul George in that 2-year contract now? It's 2 years. You get off of him, you can bring somebody else. You can bring somebody else in.
I think the thing with Paul George is because of his age and because of his skill, the cost is going to be extraordinarily high to bring him in compared with any of those other players. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so how much of your future are you willing to mortgage? Because remember, we won a championship, but we also want long-term sustainable winning too, I would think. I'll take one championship because I've never seen one, but it'd be nice to have a situation where we're competing year after year after year and getting it multiple times, But so my thing is, how much does he cost? And I think the answer to that question is probably too much, because if you'll notice that they said they're gauging the interest, that means that they're probably asking for a king's ransom to move this guy. And if you're going to pay the king's ransom, then you really have to win. I mean, there's that heightens the pressure on the organization, even for there's no, that's a all the chips to the middle kind of a move. But at the same time, part of me is like, but he's 6'8" and he's this awesome defender. And like when he's on the floor, he answers like every question that this Knicks team has, except for he's not a shooting center, But other than that, he pretty much, he checks so many boxes. But again, because of his age, injury history, and price, I just think that the price is just going to be too high. I would have to back away from him, I think, even though I think in a lot of ways, I mean, if he were 28 instead of 33, you would, there isn't a whole lot you wouldn't give up to get him here.
But maybe what if they just want to get off the salary? Because this is what I was thinking. Shout out to Keith Turner. Bradley Beal went for nothing. How you expect to get a haul for Paul George? I mean, I guess it depends, or if they prioritizing getting off the salary, or are they prioritizing rebuilding? Because if you can get him for cheap, like a Bradley, you still got to pay him though. But it's a 2-year contract and you off of him. And the same thing you said, Jeff, last show, and it was a great point. You get him for cheap, you still got your assets to go out and get somebody else, provided the salary works.
You can get him cheap. Sign me up today. I would be shocked if the Clippers had a fire sale on that dude. I think if they deal him, I think they're going to want significant assets for him.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say real quick, if you could get him cheap, I'm with you guys as well. But you'd have to also somehow be able to get off. Like Fournier's got to get out of here. Rose has got to get. Like you need some money somewhere, or you're not going to be able to add anything else to the team. You got to be able to do something somehow to free up a little bit, so you got some flexibility. And I had one question. Jalen Brunson, did he sign a 4-year or a 5-year? I don't remember.
4-year player option on
4
that
year.
3rd year, on that 4th year.
So okay, so that's our window, right? That's what it is realistically with the CBA and everything that's going on. We got 3 years left with Tom Thibodeau being here for another 2 years.
Yeah.
You really got 2 more years because the last one is a player option. He already got one up under his belt, so you got 2 more years. So you figure if Jalen Brunson he's going to opt out. He's not going to do that last year. He's going to opt out. So you figure if he's opting out and Paul George contract expires too, that's a lot of bread, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do a lot of things, and you can wait and do Brunson last. You're going to bring him back. You know what I'm saying? You probably let Paul go. But, you know, with Paul, I couldn't say, I would do the deal for Paul and would not say, I do the deal for LaVine. It wouldn't make sense. So, you know, I had to say LaVine. And then to say get to Paul, I know about his contract. He got 2 years left. And there's 2 other things that he can do that LaVine can't do. One, he can run the point too. And then he plays that defense, you know what I'm saying? But when you talk about health, anybody can get hurt right nowadays. And then you listen to the you know what I'm saying, to the podcast show. He really was asking Julius, yo, what is it like playing in New York? You know what I'm saying? And answering the question. And then he re-asking him, no, not as a player. What is it like playing every night in New York? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? He might be thinking about it. I don't know what could be going on. And then all of a sudden you hear about, you know, Paul George, they want to know the asking price. It's not going to be too much money. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Bradley Beal went away for nothing. You know what I'm saying? People going to be looking to get off these contracts. They're scared of the CBA. You know what I'm saying? And they trying to figure out what it is they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to get rid of Paul George, you better get rid of him this year, because next year you're not going to get rid of him for anything at all. You know what I'm saying? So they might be trying to make sure they don't miss a mark if they can get something. You know, I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying, maybe a young player, 2 first-round picks, because I'm cleaning your books. That's it. I think we got 4 first-round picks coming next year. You know what I'm saying? You can look for something to be good with the Detroit Pistons, because that whole thing is getting ready to change. They're not going to be bums as you think they're going to be bums with Monty over there, and they got other players, and they got cap space. So, you know what I'm saying, that Detroit Pistons pick next year might be looking real good. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that can favor in our way. Paul George knows how to play the basketball game. Or athleticism, he don't have that as much. But far as being able to think and, you know what I'm saying, the ins and outs, the creases and everything, Paul George knows all about that. And he can help and teach, you know what I'm saying, players and help bring them along. Somebody like Grimes, help bring them along, you know what I'm saying. Not too much of Julius, because I'm looking for Julius to be going during that same time with his contract. All their contracts will be expiring at the same time. We might have the most cap space in the league come that 25. We can bring him over here, and Brunson expired, Julius expired, you know what I'm saying? And then the organization is still doing what they're doing, you know what I'm saying? It might be a loading spot, you know what I'm saying, for somebody, for people to come in and play with Brunson. You know he's going to be all-stars, you know what I'm saying? I look for him to make the next 2 all-stars. You know he's going to be getting this conversation on. You know he's going to be changing the market for us, you know, being in New York. This is my team, and this is what I'm going to do. If you came over and play with me, I do make sure I'm doing this and doing that. And they're going to believe and have trust in Brunson, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's a win-now situation with these small contracts that's about to blow up, and you're going to have to pay Brunson a lot of money. Handle your business and do what you got to do. Are we ready now? No, but the Knicks should be in their mind frame to get ready now, because remember, you was only 10 games away from a championship. How can you get closer than that? That ought to motivate you even more as a basketball player coming into the season 2023-24. What are you going to do? You want to get further than where you was at? A lot of teams get ready to break up. You're going to see Thursday.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you're going to be at Legends at the MBK draft party. Let me know. I'm definitely going to be there. I'm looking forward to that. What was I going to say? Listen, he has 2 years left on his contract. If you can get him on the cheap, that year he comes off the books, Randle comes off the books, Brunson comes off the books. You get an opportunity to reshape your team right then and there with those 3 guys coming off the books. Maybe you re-sign Brunson to a max, and you don't re-sign Randle, or you re-sign him for, you don't max him out, and you probably don't re-sign Paul George. If you can get him for cheap, it may not be a bad move.
It's cheaper than Levine.
The only thing I would say, and I agree, is his availability in the playoffs has been, you getting all worked up, you feeling real good about yourself, and you get into the playoffs, boop, he going down again. That's the same thing with Chris Paul. Like he's just going. And for Chris Paul, this is going all the way back to the Clippers. You just can't count on these guys come playoff time. It would be devastating, for the Knicks. Jarrell, I agree with you. Bill had a no trade clause and had to agree to that price. He completely controlled that deal. And he wasn't probably not going to a team that's stripped down because you've given up too much. Don't expect trades to be low because of that. You're right. He had a no trade clause. He could definitely control. He definitely controlled that deal. All right. So basically, what I'm hearing from the panel is yes to Levine, and pretty much no to everybody else.
Probably maybe yes to OG Anunoby also. No,
that's true. Yeah. But go ahead.
I was gonna say definitely no to Paul George. Like, I was surprised. I thought some people would want him. But
if the price is right, if you can get him low, I would do it.
Queen, are we gonna? I know you mentioned that a couple of times. Are we gonna have a couple of minutes to discuss the giveaway, the Bradley Beal giveaway? What is that? Like, is that worth investigating? I don't know how it works. Like, they sell him cheap and that's it.
They want to get off his contract.
Yeah, if it was if it was the Knicks, it would have been like 4 first-round picks, RJ, OB, and like 10% share of the team and whatever, But this guy goes for second-round picks, man, and Chris Paul. Like, I don't understand that.
Be honest. About leverage, no trade clause. Beal could pretty much dictate the terms because he can say, look, you want to get rid of me? Well, if you don't get it at a low asking price, I'm not going anywhere. I can refuse the trade. So he pretty much had complete negotiating power in the entire situation. Washington was at dealing from an extreme weakness in that situation. And so
Jeff, you think Bill told him, listen, I'm going to Phoenix, and I guess he let Phoenix know that this is where I want to go. And so Phoenix said, well, shit, let me lowball him. Let me tell him, listen, I'll give you a couple of second-round picks and take CP3 away from me, and so on and so forth. Is that how they do it?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to take back salary either. They're rebuilding, so I would anticipate that KP and Kuzma's next out, out the door. They didn't want to take on salary. They're rebuilding.
I don't blame.
Phoenix don't even have draft picks to give back.
No. I don't blame Bradley Beal, and I don't blame the Phoenix Suns. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I blame the commissioner for this. That was a disgrace, for you to be in that chair and allow that to happen, that situation. You coming up with the scheme plan for the CBA to try to break all this type stuff up. And then you allow it to happen. More importantly, you allow it to happen to a team that's, okay, you're saying they're clearing up cap space. What good is clearing up cap space? Nobody wants to go and sign there. You know what I'm saying? You allow that to happen to the Wizards, and nobody is going to sign there and fill that cap space up. May he rest in peace. But David Stearns would have vetoed that trade. he would have said no, because I'm more interested in saving more of a franchise that's inside my league than for me to put in all the CBA in and allow this to go over here to the Phoenix Suns just so you can build one super team. To me, I thought that was a disgrace for what the commissioner did. You know, you're doing all of these other things. You're so interested in, and you know, not saying he don't deserve it, but you're more interested in making sure you punish John Morant and all the other situations and punishments that's going on and everything. You should have vetoed this situation, and because you got a new CBA collective bargaining going, you let these guys run and ruin everything that y'all been sitting in the meetings thinking about putting in together, and just let them guys dictate what they wanted to do. Like I said, I don't knock Bradley Beal for using his trade clause, and I don't knock Phoenix Suns for doing that. But the commissioner knows he should not have allowed that to happen, for them people to only clear up cap space and wind up with second-round picks for a dude that's an all-star years and years, and that is a score from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, you know, I really blame the commissioner about that situation. He could have done a whole lot better. And to me, I'm mistaken by what I say. I thought that was the disgrace for him being a commissioner and doing what he did, man. That was just real
But how is
nasty.
that different when Durant left OKC and went to Golden State? That's a trade that could have been vetoed too, because that's a trade that
Kevin
traded.
You said when Kevin went to Phoenix?
No.
When he went to the Warriors.
When he went to what? He's a free agent, so he can go where he want to go. He can go where he want to go. But this dude is not a free agent. He got a couple of more years left on him. You know what I'm saying? He told them people, "Hey, yo, send me over here. Don't send me nowhere." You know what I'm saying? We'll wait until I figure it out. And like the word said, they heard that they was gonna try to put Ayton in it. They say he vetoed that. Nah, let him stay over there, because he's trying to get over there with a squad where they still got a team. But you know, for the commissioner,
I don't think you can do that though, because remember, the commissioner, he works for the for the owners as well,
right?
You know, so I don't know if he could have if he could have vetoed. It was within the bounds of
he did it with Chris Paul in New Orleans to save that organization instead of letting him go to the Lakers. That's why I said rest in peace to David Stern. So he had, you know what I'm saying, he got the say so to what's happening, and you know what I'm saying, the last word. He can do that, whether he want to do it or not doing it. But you know, like I said, you trying to make sure you stop all this super teams and put all this collective bargaining thing in, and here it is, and you allow a franchise to go straight all the way down underground, just to build a super team or something that you're trying to get away from.
I hear you, Boogie, but I don't really see that. I don't really see that. Miami did it. There's been super teams throughout. If a team wants to mortgage their future and go down to the bottom, like, that's on them. Phoenix is gonna pay a price. Phoenix don't have any draft picks. They don't. They're gonna probably go over the second apron, you know, with those guys. I don't know. I don't really see. I don't think it would have been right for him to veto. I think those teams get to make their own decisions for their future. And if that's the way Washington wants to go, then they got it. Then they could have just told Bill, no, we're not gonna trade you at all. Then they could have said that. They could have said, no, we gonna keep you. They like Bill. Well, first of all, it's new management. They wanted him out. They want to start over. You know, and I agree. He hamstrung. It was between Phoenix and Miami, from what I understand. He had all the leverage.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with that.
As bad
they didn't have
as
nothing.
it is. It could have been worse. It could have been he went to Miami. Oh man,
it messes up the competitive balance, but they did it within the rules, and so what can you really do about it? You know, but it's not. I don't think it's right, but
yeah, I know it's within the rules. I'm not saying it's out of the rules or none of that, but you know what I'm saying. I don't think Phoenix even had no first round picks. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have nothing to give these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because they just made the other trades. They get Kevin Durant over there. They have nothing.
It's basically a deal to accommodate Phoenix. That's just all it was. It's
That's
weird.
all it
I
was.
still don't think Phoenix is. I mean, listen, Brooklyn had Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. There's no guarantees over there, especially the way Durant goes down, tripping over the lines on the court. Like, there's no guarantees over there. Shout out to Knicks 100 AGM. NBA owned the Hornets at that time. They don't own the Wizards. It's a major difference.
Who said the Hornet?
That was
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Well,
No, it
Chris
was-
Paul for the
It's
Chris Paul part.
New
Right?
Orleans Hornet. They were called
It was
the
a New Orleans at the time.
At the
Like, they
time.
owned the league owned the team at the time.
Yeah.
So they had an obligation to do what they felt was best for the Hornets at the time.
But don't be
think
swayed.
Phoenix
And
is
let's
favored.
not forget, there's new ownership with Phoenix too. So what better scratch your back thing? Oh, welcome to the league. Thank you for being the owner. Let's let this trade go through so you have a winner over there. Listen.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's a good point too. I think they're gonna move off from Ayton. I think that second eight, like, they're gonna be locked in.
And they need
You know,
depth. I mean, they have 4 guys. You can't win
Their
an
point
NBA
point guard is Booker now.
right.
That's all right. Booker's fine.
No, he's adequate. He facilitates. That's actually probably not a bad thing for them because he facilitates very well. But I kind of think it takes a little focus off of his scoring. But then again, with having Beal and Durant there, does it really matter as much?
And Bill played point guard in the absence of John Wall during those
True.
seasons too. So I think those two can just interchange.
I don't know the left-handed guy's name with the little afro that comes off the bench, but I think they showed them as a starting lineup with him, Bill, and Booker, Durant, and Ayton. I think they said that's the only 5 up under contract or something like that. That can't be up under contract. So they had him starting lineup.
I would hope they don't do that. That lineup is softer than Sharman, man. On defense, that's trash bags.
Yeah, I just think Ayton is going to be traded for multiple role players too. I think so too. I don't think Ayton stays there. Cameron Payne.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I bet Indiana comes calling. Peyton's available. They wanted him the last time.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll go again Friday night. Hopefully, the Knicks.
Do something.
Maybe they trade back into the draft. Maybe they
I-
make some trades during the
Queen, I don't think they're gonna do much.
yeah.
AJ, when you wake up Friday morning, the Knicks are gonna have Zach LaVine and Zion Williamson on the team, and you're gonna be like, "What happened?"
No, Zach LaVine. I really feel like they're going for Zach LaVine, but I don't think in terms of the draft, I don't think they're gonna do anything. They're not gonna. I don't see them trading back into the draft. That's just not gonna. That's just.
I wish we had some more days because I would have liked to have done a versus with Randle and definitely a versus with Mitch. I don't know if it'll still be relevant after the after Thursday.
Play it by ear. It could be.
Yeah,
No, I mean it definitely could be. I mean, the Knicks can make trades. The
they can still
offseason is
trade,
just beginning. But and really, the other reason why it could be relevant is because the Knicks window for making trades because of people they have on the contract, like Rose, and be able to move off of that. I think you still have until July 1st. So as long as you do stuff before July 1st, it all still makes sense.
Okay. Jarrell said the Knicks are going to trade into the draft, then trade back out of it. I know.
That's funny.
Oh, CP3 got that good insurance. He got State Farm. Yeah, man. This guy stays injured. Anyway, this was whenever you put
keep dribbling.
right.
Bounce the ball.
Right. Man, when I'm developing a show, you never know how it's gonna go. But you guys, Jeff, J Boogie, AJ, Ron, y'all made the show go, and I appreciate you guys. We have 235 in the chat now. At one point, we had 240 something. We got 148 likes. If we can run it up a little more, you know,
Yeah,
that would be great. But I appreciate
come
you
on, y'all,
guys.
come on.
The chat was popping today, you know, on point, respectful. Dope show. Appreciate you, Shy Legacy. You know, for sure. Any last words?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, Queen, you know, through sources of, you know, word that I don't got is that the Knicks are looking to do something, you know, pretty much after this draft, but during this draft time, because they don't have picks inside the first round. I mean, inside this, they don't have picks in this draft to where they can do something while the draft is going on. So they're looking to make moves, major adjustments right after this.
Right after the draft?
Yeah. Yep. That's some words that I got from people I deal with.
Yeah. Because
back to your Ingram. I think I told you before, maybe about 3 weeks ago, somewhere around that time, that Ingram, through the sources I know down here in Carolina, through, you know, Kingston's, you know, amongst his camp, you know, the word was like, you know, they're giving them an ultimatum, either me or Zion. You need to figure out what you want to do. So that's why I think so much is being talked about Zion. You know, I think they're choosing Ingram over him.
Yeah, I mean,
that's bad news for Queen. Queen don't want to hear that stuff, man.
I know that.
Queen,
yeah.
that means you have no shot at getting Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. He got a beautiful contract too.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of Zion. Just I don't see the injury history getting better. I you know, and it could, and this is what happens with somebody like that. You roll the dice; he could become an Embiid and just turn the corner, or he could become somebody where the injuries just linger year after year after year. And I don't know if we have to give up a lot for him, but you got to pay him.
He getting hurt. He getting hurt doing other stuff off the court. he getting injuries over there.
The one difference with Zion, that's all that Steph said is exactly 100%. But the one difference with Zion is when he's healthy, he's legit all NBA first team talent. And that doesn't grow on trees. So if you're going to, I'm not saying one way or the other, it would, again, depend on price. I'm always thinking about the price, but I could see the logic in taking a chance on Zion just because you want to talk about upside. When that guy's on the court, he's ridiculous.
That's a Jensen take. I agree.
Yeah. But but when is big, because this is a thing. Your money is tied up. If he can't play during the length of that contract, even if you didn't give up a lot, who you bringing in to help improve your team?
Here's a thought. What if you keep Obi Toppin? In other words, for those games that he's going to miss, he can slide in Obi Toppin.
Listen, no disrespect to Obi Toppin, but the drop off between Zion when he's healthy and Obi Toppin is like the side of a mountain.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter because if you get Zion and you get off of Randle, Zion's getting Randle's minutes. Now,
no, he's saying Obi has insurance for keep Obi for when Zion gets hurt. And
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I honestly,
that's messed
I think the relationship is fractured. I think there's more to it that we're not hearing about. I think that Tibbs Obi thing is not good.
Right. Yeah, I to me, I wouldn't. I just think you're gonna have 35, 40. He signed a max. He didn't sign an RJ Barrett contract. He signed a max. And if he doesn't turn the corner, all of that is tied up on your bench. How you improving your team?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just a big gamble.
What's messed up is you say we keep Obi for when. Not if, but when Zion gets hurt. because we know he going to
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We talking about Paul George. This is another level. He's played barely over a season in 3 years. He's played like what 85, 89. Nah, come on. No. Now, if he was on a better contract where you could still build the team out, if he gets hurt, that's fine. But if he gets hurt, what are you doing? Nobody's trading for that, and you can't improve your team.
But didn't he sign his contract kicks in this season, right? Didn't he sign something? Didn't they sign him to something towards the team, like if he don't play a certain amount or something like that? I think they did, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he didn't want injury protections in his contract. I don't think there was any.
I thought there was a weight stipulation.
I think there's a weight stipulation. Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing,
I
Jeffrey.
know there was something going on.
He could be svelte on the bench.
Wait, earlier, somebody in chat, I forgot who it was that I didn't highlight. Somebody said Zion can't stop eating the meatloafs. So he can't control his weight because the meatloafs, like, he just can't stop.
I think yeah.
And we do know for a fact if he comes, Julius is going, because Julius he said on that podcast, once New Orleans got that pick, he said he knew he wasn't going back because he knew that was not going to be a fit with him, and so he was looking to go sign somewhere else.
Right.
So you best believe that pattern will be swapped out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Zion came to New York, it might help him change his game around and refocus himself with the type of training staff and stuff that we have here. Apparently, it's one of the best. With the type of influences we have with Daddy Brunson, with Jalen Brunson, certain people that can show him the way and how to be a professional and really what he needs to focus on to get himself right. Now, the flip side is nobody's talking about this. It could also be a downside. He could come here and that immature mentality he's got currently could spill off on, another young Duke player who is kind of, recovering from a breakup. So I'm just saying. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. My bad.
Wait, guy, hold on. Why are girls breaking up with them NBA players like that? Andrew Wiggins got a breakup. RJ, like, what's going on with the guys, man?
But
young guys, man.
Yeah,
they're on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, any play, but this is too much. The guy has played 3 games in 4 years. I mean, I think that's too much of a gamble. I agree with you though, JJ. I think it's too much of a gamble because you're locked. You are locked. If he doesn't play, you cannot improve your team. There's no championship contention. That's a big gamble. I'll gamble on Cat becoming a star before I gamble on Giant becoming healthy.
You gamble like that, changing the game.
And you go down, you might as well go ahead and reach behind the bench and call up Stella Harrington.
You might as well just trade everybody else and start over because there's nothing you're going to be able to do with that contract on your books. You're not going to be able to do anything. I don't know. So we'll be back. Ricardo, I appreciate you. He said, I hope you do. I would love to do a versus with, Randle versus Zion and Cat and Mitch versus Turner and somebody. We probably can do both of those shows.
Turner and KP.
Mm-hmm.
Turner and KP, right? I guess would you put, and I don't even know if Cat would be with Mitch, if Cat and KP would be with Mitch or with Randle.
Well, as a team, you would want Cat with Mitch, but Cat don't want to be with no Mitch or no other center. So
right.
He put me in the power forward lane.
Right. Yeah. So that would be interesting. Maybe we'll do it Friday if the Knicks don't do much. I just think that Friday show is going to be all about how the Knicks have reshaped this roster on draft.
Right. Yeah. How do we look now that we've got Zion and Levine? Like, how do we really think about
or it could be about how the Knicks didn't do nothing.
More than likely.
And
Hey,
how we
shout out
traded
to
in
my
and
guy,
traded.
man. Hey, shout out to my guy, man. That's Reggie Jackson right there, man.
Oh,
That's
really?
Reggie. Yeah, that's Reggie Jackson right there, man. And Queen made that happen right there too, man. I got this from him when the Clippers and the Knicks, you know what I'm saying, they came and he went on and became a champion, man. So shout out to Reggie Jackson, man.
Yeah, shout out to him.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
I mean, we'll talk about this more at some point. I agree with you, Ron. We need that veteran point guard. The way this Knicks team was constructed, I don't think the Knicks thought they would be in this position, or they would have constructed the team much better. Brunson goes down, quickly goes down. You rolling out McBride in a situation like that in the playoffs. Like, that's the time when you really needed to have a third veteran guard. If we can get McConnell, oh, I love this guy. Can't shoot the three, though. But he's going to play good, tough defense. He's going to distribute the ball. He's going to steal. He's going to do all of the other stuff. You got him as your third guard. You in a strong position.
We've undervalued a position for years. We finally got somebody in Brunson, but we don't value the point guard position. At least this regime hasn't. Maybe now that Scott Perry's up out of there, and then the other folks are here now, and they're more shot callers. We'll see. We'll see if it changes. They definitely need a backup.
Yeah, Turner is making $20 million. How is that? And it's a 2-year contract. I think
he was signed.
Yeah, and I think he only signed a short contract, a 2-year contract or something. Listen, at that center position, and at that center position, come on, I get it.
He heading to Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't think Turner is a great rebounder, but it doesn't mean he can't be. You know, and his defense can get better as well. That guy's a unit. This guy's somebody who could shoot the three, plays decent defense, and he averaged 2.3 blocks a game last year. I mean, come on, you're gonna have to respect him. You know, and he hits the three, not I think at an average rate for a center. At an average rate for a center. I just
keep the defense honest.
Enough to keep the defense honest. No doubt about it. And that now I'll tell you this. If we get a shooting center like Turner, maybe I'm okay with RJ Barrett. Like I said before, I think you can have one guy in your starting lineup who's not a shooter. I think you can. So if you're getting shooting from your center position, from your 4 position, from your 2 position, from your 1 position, no, RJ Barrett looks a little better now.
Listen, if the Knicks can somehow bring Turner in and get off of Rose and Fournier's contracts, and then still move Obi, Knicks could make this team look really interesting.
If they're getting Turner, Obi's probably in that deal.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Because, yeah, good point. Well, either way, I mean, you still coming, but I need them. See, the thing is, you can't stay with this dead weight on your team. You got to get rid of Fournier.
I mean, if he's not in a trade, he's gone anyway.
Oh no, yeah, Rose is gone, but it's the Fournier thing, because we might be stuck with Fournier for another year if we can't move him.
No, he's got at the trade deadlines. I mean, come on, man, he's gonna be very attractive, man. He's expiring trade deadline, so yeah, he's gonna be very good.
I think we find a new.
So you would have Turner and Mitch playing on the same team.
Yeah, like I am. I hate to say it because you value the players, but I'm all about wheeling and dealing to a certain point. Like if you get Turner, okay, Mitch, guess what? You making good money. We appreciate you. You the backup. I'll make Turner the starter, make Mitch the backup, and I'd flip a Hartenstein.
Oh man,
right. And you could do that if you
Hartenstein and Obi together probably about makes Turner's salary. Hartenstein, Obi, and the protected pick probably gets that deal done. I don't know. It's got to be close on the money.
Turner is $30 million, but it's a short contract.
No. Turner's not. Turner is $21 million. If you want to get technical, it's like $20,700,000 for next year, and then the year after he's $19,700,000. It's a de-escalating contract. His money is good. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, but I think Hartenstein's with 9.2 or something like that up against the cap at any rate. What is Obi?
I'm not sure what Obi's contract is.
Obi, he can't be more. He got to be somewhere in between like 6 and 8. He can't be more than that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
That money works. Pretty sure. If not, throw in Isaiah Roby guaranteed, and you got, just to make the contracts work.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is when we see guys on another team, that doesn't necessarily mean that's how this guy is going to be on our team. He could be better on our team. Bruce Brown was better in Denver. Gordon was better in his stats was better in Orlando because he was getting more shots. But in terms of his game and how he played off of those guys, you could argue that he was a better player in Denver. So just because you see a cat or a guy and he not, no pun intended, cat, you see a guy and they're not great on one team, that doesn't mean they won't be great on your team. It don't mean they won't step it up, on your team. So I'm good with Turner. I would love to have that 3-point shooting. He averaged 8 rebounds a game. He's not the offensive rebounder Mitch is, but defensively, people complain about his rebound, including myself. But I think he averaged 7.5, 8 rebounds a game last season, 2.3 blocks, shooting 33% from the 3-point line. He's mobile enough. So if he's not a great defender, work with him. He's mobile enough. He should be able to defend in the pick and roll. What's the problem? So yeah. Oh, shout out to Ron Cleveland. Appreciate you.
Yeah, what up, man? Yeah, I seen Bruce Brown putting in that same work over here with the Nets. I seen him. Kyrie won't playing in that playoff series, and they was playing, and they lost to Milwaukee and all that. Bruce Brown was getting it in, during that time. But yeah, when you talk about if you bring turnover here, I might have to go a little. I might have to do a little something different. Ron, I might have to go ahead and send Mitch to Golden State and get Kuminga and something else, and maybe put in that Da Vinci guy in that sign and trade to make them numbers work out right. Because Hartenstein know how to come off that bench. He's used to coming off that bench. I don't know if Mitch's gonna be okay with coming off the bench.
Always crying and pouting over something like
true.
Yeah, but then you getting more athletic, and I hear Golden State really they might be listening about Kuminga. You talking about another 6'8" guy that that's athletic, that has a lot of potential and still up on his rookie contract. Still, I don't know, but I just don't know if Mitch's gonna know how to come off the bench. Is he gonna be good with that?
Right.
I was just gonna
team.
Huh? What'd you say?
Turner made an all defensive team. If he did, then I'm even more excited than I was before.
He done that.
He did.
He's done it before. I don't know if he did it this past year though.
But I'm just saying that means the potential is there, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He a bit old.
You can see it happening. I will say that you guys are right about Mitch not being comfortable coming off the bench, but you know what? The Knicks have sold Mitch dreams in the past that he signed his contract. So you never know. Right. Mitch, we're going for it. We're trying to win a championship. You know what I mean? We need you, big guy.
What we gonna do with Sims? Man, get him out of here too.
Sims is out of here. Well, let me not say that. I don't think Tibbs likes Sims. So I'm thinking Sims is gonna go.
He's gone with Obi.
Yeah, he's 4 years in Texas. And he came in. Get him out of here, man.
Really? You think he doesn't like Sims? I just think there was no room to play him. When he filled in for Mitch during that time, I thought he did okay.
Yeah, listen.
There's no room. They like in the rotation. He made room for Josh Hart though.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. Like I just think there's something there. And at first, the rookie thing, I could say, you know what, he wasn't ready. When I saw Taj Gibson play 35 minutes and he had Sims on the bench not playing him, I understood Sims wasn't ready at all. He couldn't read anything. But now that you saw Sims make an improvement in the summer league, he came into the season, he started playing better. He started being like he was doing things that Mitch wasn't doing. Mitch has done a little bit more of that later in the league in the season has gone on. But like Sims was taking it coast to coast. He was turning around, taking it to the rim aggressively, doing a couple things. You saw some improvement there. His defense got a little better. He still don't block shots, but I think that to me, that's the biggest thing. Sims is athletic. He don't play like defense as a big. He don't block shots. He don't really affect people in the paint area. He rebounds, but he don't do that other stuff. And I think, if you're a big, Tibbs needs you to do that stuff under Tibbs. Another coach might appreciate Sims.
Right.
Ron, I think he doesn't this. No, oh, go ahead, Queen.
No, I was just gonna say, whether he likes him or not, where would he have played? I'm not reducing Mitch's. Man, I'm not a huge Mitch fan, but he's a better rim protector than Sims. But go ahead.
No. Before you go, Adja, because I'm gonna forget, because I forget everything. I'm old now.
Oh, you got that condition. You got that condition.
You see. Look, I'm telling you, I had black hair yesterday. This is Obama flow right now. But anyway, Hartenstein. Of course, towards the middle to the end of the season, Hartenstein started balling, right? So okay, he deserved all the minutes. He gonna get them. But remember, earlier in the season, Hartenstein was not looking good. Tibbs was not reaching his hand out to Sims on that bench. Like, come get me, young fella. That's when I looked at it and I'm like, Hartenstein's not even playing well, and he's not even giving Sims the minutes.
Right.
I think there's a pecking order. I just don't think you sign a guy to a 2-year contract and he's struggling, and then you bring in Sims, who just came out from the G League, and you sit. I just think there's a pecking order. But
would you agree, Steph, that if Sims was balling, any guy, any player, young player, if you balling, you playing. Don't matter if you don't know the game the way you should. If you know how to get it, the coach is gonna get you in there.
But you think Sims was balling?
That's my point.
Okay.
Also, Sims is not. It's the same thing we used to talk about with Obi. We used to complain like Obi's not getting minutes. Obi needs this. But when Obi got minutes, what are you doing with it, Obi? You know what I mean? That it's all goes hand in hand.
Right.
Queen, I was gonna say, listen, whatever little chase Jericho had to play, he blew it with that dunk contest. Tim saw that dunk contest. Tim was like, "Man, listen, you done for the season, bro."
Hey, listen, hey, Adji, I was ready. I was getting ready to drop above the Sim. I was getting ready to do that. I had to tear that up. For real. I wrote a song, instead of above the rim, I wrote a joint if he won the dunk contest called Above the Sim. Man, I tore it up, man.
Man, that was rough. That was hard to watch, man. It's like, oh my God.
He was like, what did he say? I'm gonna let my dunk speak for myself, because I figured it's about showmanship. So if he doesn't have that, your dunks better be. You better come to 3 somersaults and a pirouette, then dunk it. If you don't have that show,
Queen, yeah, he got the note. His hands got caught in the net. I mean, it's like
yeah.
But at least what he didn't care. He said, "I don't care. It's like whatever."
The wall of Jericho came tumbling down in the dunk contest. What are you gonna do?
That's the truth.
Y'all have a blessful morning, man.
Yeah, we're about to get out of here.
Wednesday and everything, man.
Yo, y'all hit that like button on the way out, man.
Please hit the like button.
Definitely. We got 210 in the chat. I appreciate everybody. Listen, everybody's not in the chat. The 210 is for everybody that's listening, whether you're in the chat or you're not in the chat. I appreciate you rocking with us. We got 165 likes. Hit that
on the way out. There's still 210 on there. You hit on if you didn't hit the like button on the way out, man.
Yeah, and spread that 210 around, man. Let me see some of that on a Thursday or on a Saturday. Let's
Right.
Plug the show, Ron. Plug the show.
Dallas the move. Yes, the 10th pick. Listen. This is where I thought the commissioner could have came down with the hammer, giving them a monetary fine. No. We moving that 10th pick anyway to the Knicks, no matter where it lands.
Right.
But anyway, go ahead. Plug your show, Ryan. We out of here.
Oh no, really, I couldn't. So still Knick fans, check us out on Saturdays at 11 a.m. for Know the Ledge. The no NBA report this Thursday. I think it's self-explanatory. You know, we got the NBA draft happening. Plus, people will be going live from Legends doing that coverage over there. So definitely tune into that. Thank you for having me as always, Steph. It's been a pleasure. Jay Boogie, as always, my brother. AJ, Jeff, you know how we do. Crip walk on them.
Okay.
Peace, fam. Shout out to the chat. I appreciate you. Everybody listening. And those that's going to watch on the replay, appreciate you.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?